Howdy folks, welcome to the latest episode of Sorcery and Shenanigans. I'm your DM Wayne, and very shortly we're going to introduce the rest of the group. But first we're going to just get our housekeeping out of the way and thank our ongoing sponsors. This of course is episode 6 of our Spelljammer campaign for Sorcery and Shenanigans. And let's see what happens in this particular episode. But first, without further ado, we just want to thank our ongoing sponsors, our fantastic sponsors, Dublin City Comics. You can find them on Capel Street in Dublin City Centre, or you can check them out on that web address there, down there, dublincitycomics.ie. They are a fantastic shop, and they have supported us all the way through this and given us great giveaway prizes. We'll be announcing the winners of the latest giveaway prizes, which are these beautiful tomes. They are literal tomes of the 2 Drizzt Do'Urden omnibuses of, basically I think this collects the first 3 novels in comic book form of the Drizzt Do'Urden storyline. So that's a fantastic prize. That will be given away this episode. And then we have another prize that they've given us for next month's giveaway. Our second sponsor, a returning sponsor, is Dakota Irish, DakotaIrish.com. Fantastic bunch of people, purveyors of all things nerdy and TTRPG, from dice to a lot of official Wizards of the Coast merchandise, to some other fantastic stuff like tankards, candlesticks in the shape of dragons, dice trays, which we're purveyors of, beautiful dice, which they're also you can check out. But they have given us a discount code, which again you can see just down there. Down there. And this month's discount code is Dying Light Ale. So Dying Light Ale, and you'll see it there. It'll come up throughout the entire episode as we play along. So that's our sponsors out of the way. Here are the rest of the group.
Hi.
So it's been over a month, or just a month, since the last time we played. So just to give a quick recap on what the group have been up to. In the last episode, or in the last couple of episodes, they have been on the run, basically, from the Xanathar's Thieves Guild, and run from Waterdeep to the northern city of Neverwinter. Under the guise of mercenaries for hire, they did some investigation, they retrieved some artifacts, and then again went on the run from remnants of the Xanathar's Thieves Guild and the Zentarum, finding themselves with no choice but to flee to the high seas on a merchant vessel. They were then pursued and landed on a strange, deserted, what they thought was deserted jungle island, only to find a large, mysterious temple filled with serpentine creatures that they had to battle. And upon escaping that, they then were greeted by the sight of Captain Mingna's vessel, the Silver Spear, arriving from out of the void and landing on the beachfront. To everyone's amazement, this vast spacefaring spelljamming vessel arrives after much toil and tribulations trying to get to where they are. So that's where we pick up. The group are on the beachhead of this mysterious tropical island. The Silver Spear is anchored as it is, floating about 10 feet above the beach line, as the group have kind of all huddled together. There's pockets of groups from the merchant vessel. The captain, Elsa Anchorfist, is there with her crew, and they've kind of broken off into little segments. There's campfires going, and the first mate from Captain Mingna's crew, one half-orc called Karabash, is very quietly conversing with the captain off to one side. The three of you find yourselves standing kind of away. Everyone's kind of giving you a wide berth as you are kind of taking all of this in. And this is what you see in front of you now. This vast, gigantic vessel that seems to be made out of what at a glance it looks like it's shimmering in the kind of mid-afternoon sun. The glinting off it, like it's blinding to look at, and hence where it gets its name from, the silver spear, because the wood that makes up this vessel's hull seems to be shining, like a kind of an opulent, shimmering wave of light flickers across it as the midday sun catches it. Its large masts stretching into the sky, its sails furled for now. But the crew, as you can see where you're standing, you look up and you can see people are milling about on deck. And you can hear shouts and some people exclaiming, the captain, as Carabash is off speaking to Ming, gesturing, not wildly, but kind of slightly animated. And you're kind of a good bit away, about 20 feet away, as they're conversing, and the captain is filling Carabash in on your adventures. So, as a group or as individuals, what are you currently doing?
Well, I'm staring in awe at this thing. Gray has been everywhere, but this is another level. I just turned to the others. I'm like, it's so pretty. Do we get to go on it?
I hope so. I hope like it's a bit teasery, you know, just putting it out there and we're not allowed on. Like, you know, is there a height restriction? If there's not, we're all right. I don't think I've seen one. But,
you ever seen anything like this before, Lopan?
I've seen some of them fly, but I've never seen some of them like literally come from, what did they say it was? Like from out of the sky. And to be honest, I thought it might be bigger and like have a roof, but that doesn't seem to be like the case. But do you think we can go on, Gray? We'd like to have a look.
Yeah, I mean, Mingna's going to get on here. She's our people now. We're still...
Yeah, we're absolutely going to travel on this thing. It is pretty impressive, I will admit. She looks mildly impressed. Well, we've got to figure out what's going on with these lovely tattoos that myself and Ming have. So it seems like the only way is up.
Oh yeah. I hope nobody sings a song now. That would be terrible. Yeah, I mean, okay. I'm just gonna mooch around it until we find out what we're doing, because they're still talking. Zill, do you know what they're talking about?
How far away from them are we, Wayne?
You're about 20 feet. If you want to try and, you know, Ika and listen.
I'll try and eavesdrop.
Curiosity killed a rabbit, so yeah, me too.
Give me the perception check there and see if you can pick anything.
Yeah. Oh, not 20.
Ooh.
For a total of
21.
21. You are picking up chunks of sentences they're not speaking in a loud voice. Carabash is kind of half whispering, half conversing. He seems to have a low, rumbly and baritone. He's like, as you can hear him, he's we had a hard time getting here, Captain. It's strange. The void, the Flostajon is mixed up. There's cracks and breaks, and the twins, they had a problem even navigating it. It's I don't know. I mean, I'm not a spellcaster like you or even the twins or anything like it. I just, you know me, I hit things until they stop moving. That's my deal, but there's no explaining it. I mean, you have to see it to believe it. And his voice kind of cracks a bit as he kind of doesn't really, you can tell he's trying to explain something, but really has no clue.
He doesn't understand it himself.
Doesn't understand it himself of what it is. But what you kind of garner from what he's saying, it took them a long time to get here once they received your message, and it was something blocking them. And you were all, like, you remember, and if you relay this to the group, you all remember that when you tried to get the message through to the ship, there was something that you
Yeah.
had to punch through in order to get the
Yeah.
message through to them. So it
Yeah,
kind of
Z felt
tracks.
that.
Yeah. The captain is she's kind of like concerned, nodding along and kind of looking down at the ground as such. And then at the last minute, she kind of looks over and sees the three of you, and she kind of just gives a kind of a friendly wave and nods, and then just kind of turns to Carabash and kind of just you see them exchange a couple of words, and she kind of pats him on the shoulder, and you can see she's generally happy to see him.
Yeah.
And they don't fully embrace, but she squeezes it like he's a good 2 feet taller than her, like, you know, I mean, and he's a massive Dorito shaped individual, just full on shoulders, and you can see now as you kind of take him in, he seems to be wearing the usual sailor garb of a kind of a wide cuffed shirt with a high collar, but over that you see kind of a leather waistcoat that is buttoned up and is intricately detailed and seems to have a symbol of a spear kind of etched into and filigreed in silver on the top left breast side. But the intricate details on it look like there's kind of swirls of waves and stars woven into the leather. That seems to make up this beautiful, intricate piece of what is essentially leather armor. And he has then a kind of a large belt that is tucked into high boots. Sorry, his pants are tucked into high boots, not his belt isn't tucked into his boots. He's wearing maroon pants that kind of floof out at the lip of the top of his boots that tucked into it.
Floofy pants.
Yeah, full on.
MC Hammer.
Not MC Hammer pants, but full on pirate garb, like stereotypical Pirates of Penzance. You know, flowing shirt, puffy trousers. He has
fancy metal armor.
Full on, like beautifully intricate leather armor. But in places you can see, particularly as you kind of look closer, parts of it seems to be reinforced. So he's got like extra padding in there that kind of matches what looks like his warrior stature. Strapped to his belt, he has a large broadsword that's sheathed, and then numerous daggers along one side of it. And you can see also a dagger on a holster on his leg and another one on the other side holstered into his boot. This guy is equipped to fight. And as the kind of captain waves back to you, he kind of looks over her shoulder and then looks down at her, and you can see them exchange more words. And she kind of pats him again and then starts making her way over.
Cool. So as she's making her way, I'm going to say to the other two, so it seems like they had some trouble getting here, which we figured. But I get the vibe that Carabash guy is on the level. Like, if I trust Ming Na at this stage, so I think her people are going to be good people.
Yeah, me too. They acquitted themselves real well, those snakes. So, so far so good.
Well, the crew that were fighting against the snakes were the crew of
the ship.
And they're all there, and like some of her crew have kind of started to make their way into rowboats and out onto the remnants of her ship that was damaged. And she is starting to plan repairs and plan crews. And a lot of the crew, even herself, you see them standing around in awe at this vessel that is the Silver Spear, because it is fucking huge. It is the biggest vessel, even you, Lopan, with your seafaring and skyfaring ways. This is the largest vessel you have ever seen. It is.
I was trying to be like, pretend I'd seen bigger, but
I've seen it bigger. But it is like, it is massive, and sleek. Like it literally looks like a spear that flies through the air. It's got the stem of the ship comes up to a point, and it has like a forced kind of not forced, but it has like a javelin shape to the front of it, and it's sleek on the sides. That kind of swoop down into a base that go up towards the stern of the ship, where you do see kind of what look like rudders sticking out on either side, fan shaped, and you can just make out up onto the deck, because it is floating quite high above you. You can just make it out in the mid-morning sun or mid-afternoon sun. There seems to be structures on board at the back, kind of where the bridge would be. But you can't really make it out. You're kind of not at a right angle. You'd have to kind of be up on the ship. Captain Ming Na arrives up at this point, and she's like, well, the ship is here, and if you're willing and ready, I would be honored to invite you on board and give you the safety and protection of the crew and everything that encompasses. I owe you my life. You've gotten me this far, and they're here now. And she kind of turns to you, Zilzara, and we have a mystery that seems to have us intertwined for now. And
I agree.
I believe I do know of some people who might be able to help us, but we would have to go beyond this sphere, away from everything you know. It is quite the ask, and I understand if you are hesitant. I was once in the position you are in, having never ventured into the skies before and into the void. It was given to me as an opportunity, and I'm very happy that I took it. So I now give that opportunity to you if you wish, and obviously with that in mind, to solve this riddle and free you of this burden. And she kind of is looking at the three of you, hopefully, and you notice them beside you, kind of like, you don't know when they've arrived or when, like, all of a sudden Von Breck is there, and the maid is with him, and he's like, "Oh, don't you forget now, you promised I could go as well." And she just kind of gives him a dismissive nod. It's like, I promised, go ahead and make your way on board. And you just see him like turn to the maid. He's like, "All right, now let's go." And he kind of just starts to waddle off towards the gangplank.
Gray sees as soon as someone else has made their way even roughly in the direction of the gangplank, Gray goes, "That's great, okay, we're game, bye," and then just skiddies up the gangplank like he's chasing a squirrel. Gone.
Okay.
Boom.
Lopan's kind of like looking at Gray and then looking at the captain's like, "Well, you know, like, I have a bit of a bucket list, and one of them was to fall out of the sky, and I've done that like 5 times. But like, I don't even know what a void is, but I say falling out of that would be deadly. So yeah, I'm in. Bye, and I'll run up as well.
Okay.
Or hop.
I'm
hopped in a while. I'll start hopping up. That's
Yeah,
what
Zill, are you gonna start bounding? Are you bounding too? Did you bound?
I'm gonna turn to Ming now and say, "Well, I guess we're in then." And we're gonna start strolling towards the gangplank with her.
And
Like she's outside the central bank on a Saturday.
Just kind of you hear the clump of the new rocks as she goes up the gangplank. And kind of Zale just turns and claps Carabash on the shoulder, and he just kind of looks a bit befuddled.
You mean Ming now?
No, like Carabash, as she slaps him on the shoulder to kind of move on. Carabash is just like, yes, and he just follows you. You each in turn, as you like, the gangplank is steep enough, but you, as you kind of move your way, of all of you make your way up this gangplank. The magic users in the group in particular start to kind of sense in the back of you. It's like that kind of, there's a buzz at the back of the base of your skull. You feel this hum, and it's very, very strange. As you clamber onto the sturdy deck, it stretches out on either side of you. The Silver Spear, as I've said, is the largest vessel that you've ever seen. Its tall, gleaming masts stretch skyward, the shine from the afternoon sun giving the enormous sails a translucent sheen as they unfurl and just start to fold out as the crew shout and start to get the ship ready to set sail. As you look at the deck, you can see arcane runes. Some of them you recognize and some of you don't, engraved in the actual wood of the deck. Again, the spellcasters of the group feel that underlying hum thrumming throughout the entire ship as the base of your, like where your spine meets your skull, just seems to be vibrating slightly. It's not a strong feeling, but you're very aware of its presence. The crew are milling about the deck, a veritable smorgasbord of different races. Humans, half-orcs, tieflings, gnomes, and dwarves among their rank and file. All wearing the same leather armor you saw Carabash wearing. Some sort of flowing shirts and the dark maroon breeches. A similarity to all of their attire that suggests some type of uniform, but nothing too official looking. Some glance towards you as you board. Just quick glances up and down of your small group. Kurt salutes to the captain and Carabash as they make their way across the deck. A very clear feeling of high spirits as their captain returns to her ship once more. They are hurriedly readying the ship for departure. Captain Ming motions for you to follow her as she heads towards the stern of the ship, where the bridge would usually be. But instead, there's a large 2-story wooden structure. Gesturing with her arms wide as she spins around at the group, as she walks backwards, gesturing at the ship as a whole. My friends, welcome on board, Silver Spear. You see a dim light pulsing out from the windows on the lower floor of the structure. More arcane symbols adorn it, particularly around the double doors at the front and center. The frame that surrounds the door seems to be painted a bright silvery white, with the arcane symbols slowly glowing a light bluish hue. More crew members greet the captain as she strides across the deck, a renewed confidence building with every step that she takes. Great to have you back, Captain! Not to worry, Captain, the spear's going to be ready for you, waiting to command. The captain nodding and giving everyone a tight smile in acknowledgement in turn. Ming strides to the double doors, which open in front of her inwards of their own accord without anything needing to push them or move them or twist the knob of anything. The blue light of the door frame glowing a little brighter as she enters. As you follow her in, your eyes adjust to the slight darkness coming from the mid-afternoon sun. Obviously, it doesn't affect you people with dark vision. The corridor in front of you is lit by a small arcane lamps that float at intervals along the wall. Again, you see a string of arcane symbols carved into the wood as you walk. It's everywhere across every part of this ship. The magical energy crackling ever so slightly, just out of reach at the back of your mind. And that's for the magic users. Lopan, for you, it's just like, do-do-do-do-do, look at the pretty lights.
I think it's normally like that.
Yeah. The corridor in front of you, the magic, yeah. Closed doors dot the corridor on either side at regular intervals. You count 8 doors in total. 4 on the left side, 4 on the right. No discerning markings or signs denoting where they might lead. The group's collective footfalls making a dud thunking sound. You all walk together into the bowels of this structure. The group approach another double door at the end of the corridor. And again, these doors open automatically as soon as the captain comes close to them. Ilzara, and to a lesser extent Grey, you suddenly feel that arcane hum the back of your head grow louder and you get pins and needles across the back of your skull as a bright blue hue illuminates the corridor from the room up ahead. You all enter. It is a large circular room. The domed ceiling high above is adorned with an image that looks like the night sky. As you focus on it, you realize it's moving, shifting ever so slightly. The stars and constellations moving along with it, glowing brightly, as if somebody has painted it with magic paint as it moves and swirls in motion, come to life. The walls of the room are punctuated by tall pillars, stretched from floor to base of the dome ceiling. At the very center of the room, hovering over what looks like some form of arcane summoning circle, you see a set of 2 high-backed chairs. Their tall backs pushed against one another, so their backs are against one another, they're facing in opposite direction. They are upholstered with what looks like plush red velvet. They seem to be carved out of one large, solid piece of dark wood. Their base is smooth and curved. There's no legs, so it's hovering above the ground at the center of this circle. It's held aloft by some sort of magic. Standing beside these 2 chairs, you see 2 tall, thin, male elves. One is leaning against the front of the chair facing you, the other standing just to their left, their arms crossed across his chest. They both regard the captain with wide grins across their perfect porcelain faces. Well, it's about damn time you showed. Yes.
I see.
We were just about to launch this bucket back into the astral sea without you. The Captain lets out a sharp guffaw. You better watch what you say about my ship. And she rushes forward and embraces the two men in this huge hug that envelops the both of them. It's good to see you, boys. The captain turns around to you all. I would like to introduce you to some friends. Turning to you all, she gestures at the two elves. My friends, these two annoyances are Carid and Alvar, my twin Helm. And she kind of gestures and you are introduced to these two individuals. What are the group doing at this point? This has all come at you all of a sudden. This hum of magic all around these magic users. Lopan, you were oblivious to it. But you're now standing in what seems to be a control room of some sort.
I think Lopan would have been like, you know, he would have stopped near the doors as they all walked into this room and is kind of checking to see where the wires are, or if there's people opening and closing these things. If there's a small set of, like, you know, a stunt team of gnomes, like, that's how they open up and close the doors. But and he's just like in awe of this, kind of trying to work out what it is. And then when he sees the captain hug the twins, he kind of like wanders over and he goes, yeah, pleased to meet you. I'm Lopan. It's great to be here. And he kind of goes over and hugs them both, thinking that that's what they do, because he's kind of like looking around and taking all this in. I was like, what's with the chairs? Like starts wandering over and kind of just waving underneath them, just like one, because he's oblivious to magic, you know. But he's trying to hide it, but he's a total awe, like, what's going on, like.
As you wave your hand underneath the chair, you take 4 points of shock damage.
I'm in shock. For the love of you know,
silly rabbit. Silly rabbit, tricks are for cat.
Ow.
Z is absolutely checking out the two lads. While also checking out the beautiful dome ceiling, she's kind of like taking sly glances at the two lads as she's kind of walking towards it, but really impressed by the whatever. Is it like a navigation thing? Because you were saying they were moving on the dome.
It does. It seems to be moving. You don't know really. There's no kind of star chart around. It just looks like the night sky, but it's slowly swirling, and you can see. Yeah. And as you look, you do see like there's movement, and then you see the odd shooting star zip across it, and it just looks like a beautiful moving kind of ceiling painting of the night sky. But there's no real, and like, I mean, you can give me. I don't know what astrology is, but you can give me an arcana check to see if you recognize the constellations.
Okay. Boo. Why did I use digital dice? I got an 8.
An 8. You're kind of looking at it, you do recognize some of it, but you can't really pick it out of your memory. You're kind of like, that star looks familiar, and that constellation looks familiar, but your names and kind of configurations are just gone out of your mind.
I've been transfixed by this lovely pair of elves. I can't think.
Ray, what are you up to?
I am going to make my way. I'm not too worried about the elves. I like how Ming now was hugging them. I'm going to walk towards them, monitoring the level of magical activity that I can sense as I walk towards them. I kind of want to see if it's emanating from them, even though I suspect it's not. I suspect it's everywhere, but I want to see if it goes when I get closer to them. But I'm going to go up and introduce myself, like
Egon walking through the library at the start of Ghostbusters with his EKG meters. Like, give me an Arcana check.
Okay, let's do it. I'm gonna break the digital dice curse. She ain't. That's 7.
What did you get?
No.
It's a 7 with a plus 3.
So it's a 7.
Yeah, I got an 8 with a plus 5. Like, that was horrific.
Oh yeah.
You're getting bombarded with this arcane energy all around you, so you're kind of not 100% sure where it's coming from. There is definitely magic emanating throughout this entire room, and you can kind of guess that these two individuals are magic users of. And they're grinning widely as they take in the group, and they see Lopan, they see Grey, and they're like, we have like I try not to speak for my brother. Yes, you do all the time. I try not to speak for him. I have to sometimes, but you are simply a delightful looking bunch. Love it. I love what you've done. He's kind of looking at Gray, and he's like, "This is fantastic with the fur and the ears and the tail. I love everything about it. It is fantastic." And
I'm mugging a little bit.
fantastic. Oh, darling, it's beautiful. Wouldn't you agree, Karen? Yes, I agree. It's fantastic. And he's kind of looking at Zilzara and looking at Lopan, who's like kind of... and as Lopan puts his hand under the chair, he's like, I wouldn't do that. Oh, yes, a bit too late. Yeah, this... I wouldn't... And he kind of puts his hand on the double chairs, like, this is a very intricate piece of machinery. I would recommend not touching it, breathing on it, going near it in any way, shape or form. And
Lopan pipes up as he's like, his hand's tiny, so that was a lot of damage to him. He's like, do you always take our guests to the bleeding torture room when you first invite them on a ship? Jesus!
I would recommend anything that's glowing or has any of these arcane sigils around. Do not wave your hand. Advise.
Noted. I won't be doing that bleeding again. Jesus. A sign, unless that's what that is. Jesus, make it more obviously.
I have said I've told, and he kind of, one of the brothers, the one on the left kind of slaps the other brother across the shoulder. I told you, we need to have more signs. We could have a sign that says, do not touch. It's like, well, they don't generally let more than 2 people in here at once. And we point to Captain, like, right, okay, right. Had your fun, you've fun. Lopan, go, we have a medic on board. We'll get you some. Fine. Somewhere down below. Is the doctor still on board? And she turns to Carabash, and he kind of just grumbles, like, and he points behind him, in vaguely. He's like, good. Well, I take it none of you. The captain is kind of addressing you all at this point. None of you have travelled on a Spelljammer before, have you?
No.
So, this ship, while it has the capability of sailing like a regular ship, also can fly through the void, and she kind of points up at the ceiling. This is the local constellation of your sphere, which is the realm you live on. And we can travel from sphere to sphere on this ship. And these 2 lovely individuals, and she gestures to the twins and they bow deeply, are the 2 who fly and guide us as we travel. They are essentially what steers us, makes us move, and so on and so forth. It's rare to see a ship like this with 2 helms and 2 spelljammers, but we find it unique in a way, and it allows us certain physical and magical attributes for the ship itself, having such interesting individuals as the brothers, I suppose. And every time she's trying to backhandedly give them a kind of compliment, they're kind of just like, thank you.
But how do you do it? Like, it looks like every single piece of wood on this vessel is covered in runes. So is the entire vessel charged and you guys direct it? Like, what magic do you use to do this?
The captain kind of just quietly just turns and smiles and just gives the nod to the twins, and they bow deeply, and they kind of like, move back. And the 2 of them kind of jostle all of you out of the kind of the circle section around the chair. So you're now all up against the kind of the back, the kind of the far walls, kind of lining the kind of curved walls. And it's like, my dear brother, after you. No, I insist, after you. Well, if you insist. And the first twin hops into the chair and the second one follows. And they kind of strap themselves in, get themselves comfortable, wiggle their bums in, and then place their hands on the armrests. And as they do that, the armrests seem to curve into their bodies and form into, you hear the kind of a, and again, the magic users around it, like magic users in the group, feel that home at the base of your skull kind of pick up a bit as the chairs shape and mold into them. And you see the arcane runes all kind of flash to life as this blue aura seems to glow beneath the chairs as it moves ever so slightly upwards. They float up beneath the hum builds, and you see the arcane runes on the walls around you start to thrum to life, just gently. And then the ship shudders. Your feet you find you're catching yourself on your feet. Now, you've been on the sea on Captain Ankerfist's vessel for a while now, so your sea legs are well and truly broken in. So you're used to that, but the ship shudders to life in a way that doesn't belie a forward motion. You feel yourself moving slightly upwards, lifting off, if you will, as your stomachs kind of lurch slightly, and the ship, like the outside view of Captain Ankerfist's crew as they watch the sand kind of get blown away on the beachhead as they're like buffeted by the wind, as the silver spear gently rises into the air and you feel it lurch and move beneath your feet. The hum just starts to steadily emanate throughout the entire ship as the captain turns to you and is like, "This is how we do it on the Silver Spear." And she kind of gestures towards the doors like, "The twins will drive," and she kind of starts leading the way out, back out through the corridor and out onto the deck, and kind of gestures for you to follow her. As you watch, the twins are lying back in their chairs, and the chairs are kind of, as they are one piece, but they're kind of back to back, their heads back, eyes closed. And you see now the energy emanate from the circle and out across like tendrils across the floor and along the wood, across all the arcane runes that slowly hum to life. And the corridors glow ever so slightly as you walk through it. Out into the mid-afternoon sun, the sun setting a wee bit more since you went in. You're standing on the deck, and the crew seem to be just filled with energy as the ship completely comes to life and it starts to move skyward, slowly turning in the air. You feel it lurch, but not too much. It's controlled, deftly, very calculated, and there's no kind of heavy movement that you're finding yourself rocking back in your feet. It's fully sturdy and steady as the ship slowly rotates and rises higher and higher and higher into the air, picking up speed, moving upwards. The sky around you darkens. The air doesn't thin out in any way, and as it moves up through the atmosphere, through the sky, up into the lower atmosphere of the sphere that you're on, you start to notice something. Outside the ship, as you look up, you see a kind of what looks like it's like a barrier, an invisible barrier that's it's barely visible as the air kind of buffets off the edge of it as you're pushing up through the sky. Think of when a space shuttle is coming back into land and you see that kind of heat shield feel. It's kind of that in reverse. There's like air buffeting on a kind of a spherical shape around the ship. And as you look around, it's kind of like, what? And you find yourself thinking, we're able to breathe. And you're moving higher and higher and higher. And then all of a sudden, you're up and you're looking down. And you just see the landscape and the world below stretched out to the horizon. As you float on the inner atmosphere up in the sky, the ship all aglow as the silver spear just hangs there. This is something you have never seen before, and very few on your world have seen this, and it is breathtaking. You just see the sun crested off in the horizon as it peaks up over the curve of the sphere, and it just lights up and illuminates the entire landscape below. You see greens, blues, the sea, the ocean, the land, the kind of the roughness of the edge of the coast of Neverwinter as it streaks back down south towards Waterdeep. You can see just off in the distance dots, birds, just thousands of feet below you. As you take all of this in, it's breathtaking, and it's frightening and awe-inspiring at the same time. What are the three of you doing at this point?
I'm up against whatever this version of a porthole is going.
Well, you're up on the deck. You're actually up and you're out on the deck, and you can see all around you. You can look down and see down below you.
Yeah, she's
We're there. We're very excited about this.
Well,
Very excited.
as we start going up and up, Lopan's kind of thinking, like, they must call it the void, but like we call it the sky. Like, where are they from that they would call it the? And he starts looking up and he's like, hang on a second, we're going a bit too. No, slow down, like we're going too fast. And he just has a major freak out. And he goes like, we're gonna, and he starts holding his breath, and his eyes start going wide as he's like, we're going way too far. What's going on? And then like he's like on the ground on all fours, like just looking up, going. And then he lets it all out when you describe that scene, and just like he's like, whoa, Tomo was bleeding wrong, like
It's not flat.
not flat.
Tomo would think that. Tomo would think that. He's got a
Where's
lot
the
of.
far elephants, like?
Hey, Lopan, you good?
Give me about like 5 minutes, and have you got any wine on this thing?
I'm gonna hand him my water bottle.
And he
That's
starts
me.
drinking the water and pauses for a second when he realizes it's not alcohol, and then he just like locks it back, because anything will do at this point, just to center himself. He's having a full major panic attack, like taking all this in.
You all right, dude?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I'll be fine. It's just like it's circle like.
It's certainly breathtaking. Have you got yours back yet?
In a minute, unless is this what the large spell does? Is it? I heard that makes it bigger, but Jesus, be fine in a minute. Like, he starts calming himself down.
I'm gonna turn to Ming Na and say, how many times have you done this? Like, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like it.
And she's standing there, full Peter Pan pose, hands on hips, legs kind of shoulder width apart, and she's just looking at it all. She says, I've lost count, but it's beautiful every time. In every different sphere and realm, it's always different and yet the same. But yeah, it is beautiful. And Torillion is one of the more beautiful systems. Oh, that's the name of your system, by the way. It's one of your spheres. It's hard to explain. You kind of have to see it. So each sphere contains a realm, and this is realm space. Some people call it the Sea of Night or the Skyward Realms, but we know it as the Torillion system. And this is your world. And she kind of, as she gestures down, you're moving, realize that the Silver Spear is moving away from your world and is aiming itself out towards the void. And you see the void spread out on one side of the ship, and your planet below, Toril, as it's called, just hanging there in the void, hanging there in space. And it's like a gleaming green and blue and brown globe. It's just, there are worlds, countless worlds in the void. Endless possibilities. And that's what we do. We travel amongst them. Taking jobs and work where we can find it, and living our lives on this ship. And now you're traveling with us.
So you're saying we're going to be doing that again a lot of times? Oh.
Well, as many times as whatever lays ahead of us allows, I suppose. We do have a destination in mind. It's not necessarily a world like yours, but it is definitely more than likely something you've never seen before. And you feel the ship pick up speed, and your world starts to disappear and become a fist-sized dot on the horizon as the Silver Spear starts to move through the void, through the Flostagen. And you feel it, not that you feel it, but you can feel the speed picking up, but you see the void stretch around the ship. And it's just off. Like, think of a ship going to warp, that's what it is. As the stars start to stretch out to lines, there's beautiful colorations of purples and blues and all these different crazed, all colors of the rainbow, just stretching past as the void zips past you. But you can see, well, actually, do you see? Everyone give me a perception. Sure.
Hey, Wayne, instead of getting us to do perception checks, you can just sing, "Do you realize?" And then we'll just see what happens.
Actually, Gray, you would see it. But I want the other two. I want you to give me.
Just as well, I do.
I did roll already. 12.
Lopan, actually, you would see this as well. Zazara, yeah. So you all notice this as the ship picks up speed. Carabash has a concerned look on his face as he stares off, kind of into the distance, and also the void around him, seeing these streaks of color, light, as the stars and worlds zip past as the ship picks up speed and goes to full travel speed. He kind of leans over and whispers to the captain, who kind of looks at him concerned, and she kind of nods, and you see him disappear back into the actual 2-story structure, which is essentially the back of the ship. And Captain kind of moves towards you. Well, we have some travel ahead of us. It shouldn't take too long, but due to certain circumstances, we will not be able to travel at our full capabilities just yet. And she kind of looks around the crew, and they're milling about the deck, all readying the ship. You see them all working away, doing all sorts of different things. People like crew members up the mast. You see there's a crow's nest is up there. They're all milling about. Even in the 2-story structure at the top of it, and this is the name of it on ships. It's called Monkey Island. It's the top of the top of the bridge. Part of the bridge is where the game gets the name from. You see the crew milling about there, and some of them are inserting what look like arcane crystals. There's work being done on the ship. They're doing all of this in travel, and they're just going about their business. And some of them again are looking you up and down and giving you curt nods and stuff like that, or like kind of just tip. If any of them are wearing caps, they're tipping the cap as they go about their day. But most of them are giving you a wide berth because you're just with the captain and she's kind of guiding you around. Because I think we need to. Yes, let's retire to my cabin. Need to discuss where we're going, what our plans are, and also I need to discuss with you some alarming news. The Carabash kind of looks a bit slight distracted, but kind of just gestures for you to follow her, and she walks around the side of the 2-story structure, and there's another door on the left-hand side of it on the edge of the building, and she kind of just, as she moves towards it, the door opens by itself, and she moves indoors, gesturing for the three of you to follow.
I'm scampering alongside, but I just kind of sidle up before we get there. I'm like, "So, ma'am, how long will it take us to get to the place you gotta go to?" And as much as I don't want to miss a single second of it, I think I'm probably gonna have to have a cat nap.
It's gonna take us about, I'd say, 3 days travel, easily.
Oh.
We are bypassing a lot of the more civilized spheres, and like even within your realm, there are places we could travel to, but I believe where we need to go to find out more about these afflictions, this is the right place. But about 2 to 3 days, depending on our speed, which Carabash shall inform me of shortly. She kind of, you see that concerned look on her face once more. As she kind of moves into what is essentially her captain's cabin. Is there anything else the group want to do before this happens? Is there anything you want to do on the board of the ship? Anything you want to do with each other? Nope.
Take my water skin back from Lopan.
And as you hear in the back, you hear him going, "This thing can go faster." I take it it's not a case of you just hop on a horse and like go back, like.
I don't think so.
As you enter into the captain's cabin, it's not lavishly furnished. There are some nice kind of like pieces of furniture here and there that seem to have been bolted down for safety, to keep them in one spot as the ship moved. There's no like intricate decoration. There's a couple of shelves with a lot of books on them, kind of stacked willy-nilly.
Shady bitch.
Huh?
Okay, you shady bitch.
And like you do see like
Yeah, he's right there.
you do see one cabinet off to one side that is basically floor to ceiling tall, and it's stuffed, filled with what look like rolled up charts. And there is a table that has numerous star charts unfurled on it with paperweights on them to keep them unfurled. And you do actually, as you walk past, you notice that some of the charts are actually moving of their own accord. And the captain kind of stops at the table and runs her hands along the charts. He's like, "Oh, I see Carabash was using my quarters while I was away." And she kind of gestures and looks at the different charts and just kind of shrugs. And then moves over to a desk where you see stacks of books and more charts unfurled as well. And on the right-hand side of this particular desk, which is quite large and intricate, beautifully carved with like floral decorations at the front and huge kind of facial carving of what looks like a tiefling. The horns kind of coming out and back into the front of the wooden desk, and it's kind of surrounded by floral patterns and leaves that come out of like a relief. But this is all carved into this beautiful large oak wood desk. But on the right hand side of it, then on the top, you see a kind of a large lockbox chest that is locked, and it has a kind of a locking mechanism in front that has an arcane crystal in the center. She kind of plonks herself down in the chair and starts rifling through a couple of drawers and pulling out charts. She's like, take a seat where you can find it. There's a few, Lopan, there should be a small cushiony thing over here for you to sit on. And yes, just find the chair and pull it up. And she kind of absentmindedly starts pulling out charts and starts kind of looking over them for about 2 or 3 minutes. Is there anything the group want to do at this point? You're in this room.
I'm just mooching around without trying to look too rude, but I am just encircling the room looking at things that might be nice.
Cool. What you'd see as you're moving around the room, there's no like photographs as such. There's one portrait that seems to be half covered off in a darkened corner off to one side. It seems to have half a drape over it. And from what you can see underneath, you see like what looks like a part of somebody painted like a yellow dress of some sort, with a hand that comes down, but you don't see much else of it. It's off to one corner of it, and it's covered with what looks like a decorative tarp. And then beside that, then there's more shelving with a couple of books and stuff. Lopan, Zilzara, are you doing anything?
Oh, I just want to kind of like, I'm just like looking at my hand and sitting it down on the cushion. It's like, Captain Ming, like you said, there was a doctor on this boat. Is he any good?
Oh yeah, he's fantastic. He is brilliant. He has patched me up more times than I can remember. Yes, we'll get you sorted. Don't you worry. He'll have you patched up in no time at all whatsoever. But it is as the twins recommended. Don't touch anything that generally would give off any blue sparks or have any of the arcane symbols. I think, Lopan, while you're on the ship, maybe just hands in.
Right, no worries. I'll definitely do that. I don't want to get any more singed or cut or like cooked again.
It's at this point that Carabash enters the room again, kind of sticking his head in and then coming in fully to the room and closing the door behind him. And he kind of strides over and kind of props himself against a side table that's off to the right hand side of the captain, as he kind of just leans against it and just gives the nod. Like, I told the twins, Captain, they've slowed down to 2/3 the speed. I think that will be the recommended level, I think, given everything. And she kind of looks at him sideways and just nods. So, as you are aware, as she leans forward on the desk, we had quite a hard time contacting Carabash and the ship, telling them where we were. It turns out that there is a problem with spelljamming travel. As such as spelljamming uses magic or arcane abilities to move. The twins are connected through their magical abilities and therefore quite unique, and allow them to control the ship using their magical powers. Any spellcaster can learn how to spelljam, given enough time. So, there seems to be a problem with the use of any arcane abilities in the void. Carabash, and she kind of looks, so said there was, you said there was fractures, and he kind of nods. Yes, Captain. It was fractures of sorts. You see, and he kind of looks at the group and looks at the captain. We were traveling, kind of adjacent to this realm, and we came across a deserted vessel, and it was interesting because it looked like it looked like the void had folded in on it and crushed front half. And we didn't get too close. We didn't want to risk it, but the twins sensed heavy, severe arcane damage to the entire vessel, particularly where the impact was. But that's the scary thing, is that the impact was into nothing. It was like space had folded around the ship, crushing the front half of it. And the signature, for what we could tell with the twins and the doctor and a couple of the crew members gleaning from their own arcane studies, was that the spell signature was that of a spelljammer. That ship, like the actual Helm, had caused the breach. So it's risky traveling like this at the moment, because there's something making them do that, and we don't know what it is. And the captain is kind of just sitting there, kind of frowning and nodding along to this.
Are other ships being affected?
Well, that's the thing, you see. We've heard of other ships going missing and not being found, but we don't know what's causing it. We thought usual thing, brigands, the Nagoi, and you know, all sorts of different. It could have been plasmoid pirates. You know, there's a bunch. Rumor has it that in one of the spheres there's a whole fleet of gnomish vampire pirates, and they've been, you know, raiding. So as far as we know, it could be any one of those things, or it could be this. There's no real way of knowing. But you see, we found a fold like this again when we tried to find you lot, and it was strange. And it was just as that message got to me. We were investigating this fold that we thought was another crashed ship, but it wasn't. It was just you and the captain. And Carabash kind of looks at the captain. You lot haven't travelled up here before, is that right? You don't know really the realms, and you don't know the space lanes and stuff, right?
I'm learning a lot of words today like that I didn't even know bloody existed. Now that does happen a lot, in fairness, but like there are bigger words that I didn't know existed. So like,
well, and he kind of folds his arms, and you see, void is not really, it's not devoid of life as such. There are creatures that live out here and travel through the Flosterjam just like we do, but they're living, breathing creatures. And we found this one fold that we thought was just a ship. It turns out it was one of these creatures, a large, basically it's a giant crab that lives in an asteroid, and it was trapped in this fold, half alive, and through that fractured kind of prism of energy, we got your message, and we were able to track it back and follow where it was. So these things are becoming more frequent. So we need to basically land somewhere safe and figure out what is going on.
Wow. Yeah, how do you decide what sphere is safe? How do you decide what's within range with the magic as it is?
And the captain kind of nods and it's like, it's a very good point, but we don't really know because we don't know what this is. So we are going to travel to. There is a place. It's where we go to relax and recuperate, and it's unique in a way. It is a city that floats among the stars. It is run by people such as ourselves. She kind of gives a smile. That don't always come down on the right side of the law, as such. It's.
I never made you for one of those. No offense, Lopan.
Like, why is it
No, I
always
didn't
me
mean-
people look at when that's said? Like, you know.
Yeah, I didn't mean to call.
Well, it's not like you're quiet about the shit that you get up to, Lopan.
I know, but I'm rehabilitated. Like, you know, I done me time, and now I'm trying to go straight.
Yeah, you're
Yeah, I'm like-
straight as a pin, Lopan. Right.
I'm trying to do my best. Like, you know, I'm on like day
Hey,
9, so it's all good. Like, you know?
Day
Hey,
9 of
Captain,
Lopan's rehabilitation.
oh my God.
Things are not going to plan.
No.
Lopan just starts looking up, wondering where that noise is coming from.
He has wandered into the female's bedroom. I go up to the captain. I'm like, "Hey, Captain, can I help the boys? Can I boost the boys? I have some abilities. I might be able to do something."
I mean, yeah, we can definitely maybe show you how to use the helm, of course, in time. But I think for now we need a steady, collective, seasoned hand flying the spear. As we,
I think what Gray meant was, can he help boost the signal to
Maybe with a
avoid any
dice
catastrophes?
roll.
I was also going to suggest it if it would help, because you know we're both magic users, and
Yeah.
we could potentially earn our keep a little bit on board.
Yeah.
the captain,
Send him a little-
the captain kind of stops and looks at Carabash. He's like, you know, that's not a bad idea. Carabash kind of like, oh, if you think it'll help, Captain, and get us to where we need to go, I mean, we could put the safety precautions in place, and we have backup jammers. But if something happens to the twins, it's just like nothing's going to happen to the twins. The twins are, they're pretty indestructible, actually. That's not a bad idea, actually.
Would you mind awfully? I know I just offered help like immediately, but I'm kind of darting about on the deck. I'm kind of like spent. I think I could be helpful, but I'm gonna need to have like a rest.
Oh! Of course, we all need a rest. Oh, it's been a long couple of days for sure. We have accommodation. We can provide you with. It's comfortable. You can, the three of you can bunk in together if you wish. You won't have to sleep with the rest of the crew. They're a rowdy but fun bunch, and you'll get to know them. You will. But if you want to retire and get some sleep, yes. But where we're going is it's a port, and it's a safe port for us, and we will get answers hopefully to the situation we're dealing with, and this new situation that seems to have come up, which is quite worrying. And it will affect more than just us if space lanes are not safe for simply traveling through. Actually traveling can cause damage, which is baffling. And she kind of turns to Carabash. Can we arrange for accommodation to be set up? And he's like, it's already taken care of, Captain. I'll have one. I'll have one of the lads bring them down if you want. She's like, yeah, fantastic. Is Owen here? You wanna send Bright Eyes? Oh, okay, yeah. He needs to learn the ropes. I was like, Right, okay, I'll send for him. And he kind of nods and heads off and leaves you, the rest of you, with the captain. Where we're going, its official name is Starfield City. But we just call it the Flotsam. It's a mishmash of pirates, brigands, mercenaries, privateers. Really fun people. And I trust me, you'll be right at home. You'll be safe with the crew. Nobody's going to give you any hassle. But you can handle yourself, so what am I worrying about? And she seems, and you've noticed since she came back on board her own ship, she has kind of let her guard down a bit more with you guys and is very much more relaxed.
She seems a lot more happier.
Much happier.
Yeah, she seems more chill. Yeah, definitely.
Much happier, more into herself, less stressed, and like the idea of whatever she has to deal with is very much it'll get sorted. About 2 minutes later, Carabash returns, and in tow, you see a young, freckle-faced, pale-skinned young lad with a typical gym lad look. You know, Treasure Island thing. He has like the coiffed hair with the small rat's tail of a ponytail just about growing, like bum fluff face. He is wearing the kind of bespoke uniform, but it's ill-fitting, like as if he's borrowed somebody else's outfit. And the leather waistcoat's hanging off him, and his floppy shirt and the collars are a bit droopy, and his maroon pants are very much tied around with a piece of rope to keep them on, and tucked into boots that are definitely too big for him. And he kind of is like coming in bright-eyed behind Carabash, and Carabash's like, "All right, Bright Eyes here will show you where your cabin is. If you need anything at all, come find me. Because Captain, I think you need to rest." Like, I'll be fine. Like, Captain, I insist, as your first mate, you have to rest. But unless you want me to get the doctor up here and he'll sedate you in some way. And she kind of just waves him off and just sits back in her chair. If you need any food, refreshments, we can have them brought to the cabin. Just ask Bright Eyes. I mean, ask Owen here. And the young lad kind of comes like, hello. I'm Owen. I can show you this if you want to follow. He's just wringing his hands. And he's kind of hunched over and he's looking really nervous. Like he's borderline. Like he hasn't had enough oranges. Scurvy is about to take him. He's like the epitome of the I'm only learning this shit now of a sailor. Like he's very wet behind the ear. And he comes like, your cabin's this way. And gestures back out the doorway that he came in. You need to follow.
Follow so.
I really want to ask the boy to lay out my formal shorts, but I didn't bring my formal shorts, so I can't do that. I'm just gonna follow him.
Right. You go out, and again, it's like the void is all around you now. And you can see that the speed has slowed slightly. You're not going as fast as you once were. So the swirling and star lines have kind of stopped a bit, and you as you walk out onto the deck and around to the far side of the 2-story kind of structure or bridge at the back of the ship, you just see this cascade of beautiful colors and swirls and star shapes just swirling around the ship as you zip past. It is one of the most unique things you've ever seen, and you can't help but be in awe of it. The crew are used to it and are just milling about the place as if it's a normal day at the office. Owen is kind of all hunched over, or as Carabash called him, Bright Eyes. He kind of nods. He's like, you probably heard my name is Owen Brightez, but the crew call me Bright Eyes. It's the nickname they've given me. Yeah, really, like, and he has this Richard Iowadi kind of sensibility to him. Right. Just nervous and twitchy, and
it's tay past Roy.
Yeah, like, I am here to help you get to your cabin. and he kind of just starts gesturing. Now he's pale skin, like ratty hair, greasy, tied back in that. Not so much a ponytail, more of a rat's tail thing, and ill-fitting clothes. So he's just kind of clomping along, and he's like, "So, you guys saved the captain then? That's the story on the deck so far."
Oh, really? What else have you heard?
That's pretty much what I've heard. They don't really tell me much. You saved the captain. That's what I heard.
Yeah, we did.
I'm kind of. I've only been with the crew now about 4 weeks. They took me on when it's a complicated story, but needless to say, I'd nowhere else to go, and they were really kind to me, and they just put me to work, and I'm fucking terrified. I've never seen any of this before, but it's interesting. And he kind of is just mumbling and meandering through the conversation as he kind of clomps along the deck. And he's like, I can understand if you're amazed by all of this. I still am, and I'm still getting used to it, but I believe if I really try and knuckle down, I could get out of just being. All they have me doing is cleaning the toilets. That's it. I'm just cleaning toilets. I mean, it's not really a pirate's life at all. The song really didn't do it justice. And he kind of has stopped and is looking out at the void melancholy, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, your cabins are here." And he's just leaning on the kind of the side of the deck. He's like, "Yeah, in through that door." Seemingly to have lost interest at all in what he's doing.
I'm gonna sidle up beside him and go, "Hey, there's a lot of really awful stuff they left out of that song too. I think if you're with a good crew and there's lots of stuff you don't have to do if you're cleaning the toilet. That's all I'm saying."
Yeah, I can get that. I can get that completely. I understand that. I've seen everyone tells me that it's where you start. It's where you start and you work your way up from it. So I will get there.
Yeah, well, if you're too effective, you're gonna end up murdering folks. So be careful what you wish for.
Oh.
Okay, bye.
And he kind of is shocked by it. Gray, as you're talking to him, you do notice that in the folds of his now baggy shirt, you do see what looks like a silver kind of chain and a medallion hanging in his kind of in between his very gaunt man boobs. But that's what because you were getting close to him, you could see that, but you do see the silver chain and this kind of.
I recognize the pendant thing.
Give me a history check.
Mm-hmm. Did you say insight or history?
History, please.
History.
Histoire. Why do I keep? Oh, for fuck's sake! That's it. I'm not using these again.
See, look.
I'm not using these again.
You know what it is today? You need to go to our sponsor, Dakota Irish, and get yourself some nice physical dice.
I know.
With our discount
I have
code.
nice physical dice.
Then roll that shit.
I've been very heartened by how many of their products are currently out of sale or out of stock, and I'd like to think it's because A, they're artisanal, bitch, and B, they've just had Comic-Con, and I hope they absolutely sold everything.
Oh, they did.
Yeah. So, yeah, I will, because this is a bust. That was a nat 1, folks.
Yeah.
So I probably think it's, it's a St. Christopher medal or something.
Yeah, you just see this clump of silver. Or what seemingly it's a silver-esque type thing. It could be platinum for all you know, but it's an intricate-looking medallion. You've no idea.
Okay.
But he's just like, yeah, your cabins are here, and he kind of gestures off to one side.
Lopan kind of slaps him on the back and goes like, "Cheers for that, mate." And look on the look to the future, man. Like, cause things could be way worse. Like, I used to know this guy called Toilet Seat. Now, I could tell you how he got his name. But I'll save that shit for another time. No pun intended. And I'll just go off.
Bill ignores him.
I think at this point he's thankful for being ignored. And and within a couple of minutes you hear his boots clomp off into the distance as he kind of stops his moping and melancholying. And you come into your cabin, and it's sparsely decorated, but it's functional. It's got a couple of cots and one hammock. So you can fight over who gets the hammock, and you've got 2 cots. There's a table with a wash basin and a jug. and there's one little mirror that's bolted onto the side of the wall. Again, the arcane runes are here. They're obvious, but they're not overly pulsating or glowing, but they are definitely carved into the wood. You are now left alone in your cabin. Whatever you want to do here.
Bagsy the cat.
Yeah.
Or the hammock even.
Oh, you want the hammock?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, sorry, hang on, what?
Sorry, I said cot, but meant hammock, but it's fine. I'll take the cot.
No, I'm breezy, like just saying it was kind
Do you even need a whole hammock or a cot?
Technically, no, it's like a house. But I'm not going to say no. Like, if someone turned around and said, Lopan, do you want a house? I'm going to go, yeah. So,
Here's the house.
Hammocks then,
In this climate, yeah, here's the house.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm going to curl up indiscriminately and go to sleep.
Gray is just gone. Outskis.
Lopan will do the same, considering how hurt he is. He's just going to go dive bomb onto it and just like.
Well, he's going to meditate because she doesn't actually technically sleep.
Cool. Sleep and meditation find you all easily because you are wreckety wrecked.
Rickety wrecked, son.
You are just out cold, and it's just darkness envelops all of you. Zildara, you're obviously meditating, and there's a trauma to the ship that this just seems to lull you into this deep meditation. You find peace, and it's very soothing and very nice. Gray, sleep finds you easily as you curl up on your cot. You close your eyes, the lids feel heavy, and you just drift off. And then you start to dream. You find yourself in a tavern. It's busy. There's music, not yours. You're just sitting in a corner. And you don't recognize the place. You don't recognize the tavern. You don't recognize the people around you. But then, two minutes later, Articus appears with 2 ales, bumps one down in front of you. And you are happy to see him. This is just unheard. Like, you haven't dreamt of Articus in a while in your travels. Your old companion hasn't really been in your thoughts of late. But you see his grey beard, his big broad smile, his head tucked into his chainmail coif thing, as he kind of plumps himself down and sets his shield up on his familiar shield up onto the table. Slides an ale over to you. And he's like, whoa, that was quite the adventure, my friend. Found yourself in the jungle. Found yourself fighting snake people. Found yourself traveling into the void. And he takes a large swig of the ale, and you're kind of just tentatively, or doing whatever you want to do here at this point. If you're drinking or if you're just looking at him, what are you doing?
I'm double pausing the drink, and I'm not, like, I'm dreaming, so I'm not directing my behavior, am I? Is it like lucid dreaming where I can affect what I'm doing?
Can, if you want to try. See what you want to do. Like, tell me what you want to do and see if it's viable.
Okay, I'm gonna treat this like it's lucid, and I'm gonna try to just reach out and put a paw on his shoulder, just for old time's sake. I don't want to bring myself out of the dream, but I'm gonna try and get close enough that I can feel his essence if it's there. But I'm not gonna like put my hand through him in case I wake myself up or something.
You reach out with a paw, and it finds shoulder, and you hear the clink of his chainmail underneath his kind of armor, and he kind of looks and he's like, "Well, that's," and he just pats your paw. He's like, "It's all right. Old Articus is here keeping an eye on you, Gray. I told you I would." And he takes another drink and sets it down, and he kind of holds your paw for a second. And then, in one swift motion, he pushes your paw onto the table and holds it in place and leans in towards you, his eyes turning and flickering a bright gold. You're traveling in the void, Grey. You want to be careful there. Don't know what dangers you could find. A little kitty cat such as yourself. And he just pulls his hand away and you pull awake.
Yeah, I wake up, yeah.
Jolting up in your cot as you look around and you see Zilzara meditating on her cot. And Lopan gently rocking in his hammock. And you're kind of... Roll me a perception check, please.
Places you took me. There. Oh, she's back on her digital dice. Like 18.
18. You're kind of... Your vision focuses and it's dark in the cabin and you can feel the hum of the ship underneath your bunk. And then you start to look around. As you uncurl on your bed, you look down at your lap. Sitting there, pristine, curved, a large peacock feather. You don't know where it came from.
Oh, can I do... Okay, I'm awake now. Am I? Yes, and I'm holding an actual feather in my hand. I would like to... Okay, can I roll investigation?
You can, yeah.
19.
19. Okay.
The curse is lifted, she jinxed herself.
Okay. So, you look at the peacock feather and it's physical. It's a real peacock feather as you run your fingers along it. There's no energies off it that you can feel. There's nothing kind of mystical about it that you can sense at this point, but it's an actual physical peacock feather that's just sitting there on your lap.
I'm gonna mooch a little closer to one of the guys.
Okay.
Because I'm shooketh, as the kids might say. So I'm, if there's a nip of something around, I'll take a nip of something and then I'm gonna move just a little closer
Okay.
to somebody. I presume Zill's not warm in any way.
Does
she emit heat?
Zill, do you emit heat?
Do you have warm blood?
Yeah, Dre are warm-blooded.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she's the bigger source of aliveness.
Okay.
Barely. But...
Yeah. So yeah, I am shook, and I'm going to just take my lute out, but like really muted. I'm literally just gonna gently pizzicato just some sort of constant 2-note progression to kind of zen myself a little bit, but I was horrible.
So Zill, you're meditating.
Nate is all mad looking.
You're meditating at this point. Are you in any way kind of aware of your surroundings? Do you want to be aware of your surroundings? Do you want to do anything at this point?
She's meditating and she's also wearing her crystal, so I don't know if that is affected by being on board the sphere. But she's trying to calm herself. Like, she's very impressed by the silver sphere and all that, but she is a little bit scared because she's never been up in the void before. But also trying very hard not to let anybody see that her cam is slightly damaged.
Right.
So she's trying to recenter herself, and use the crystal, which is attuned, to help that as well.
Okay. So, let's see now. Zara. So this is all happening at the same time, okay? So we're gonna do this at the same time it's happening with stuff with Grey. With your kind of meditation, are you meditating on anything in particular, or are you just trying to calm yourself?
It's trying to calm herself, and also, I suppose, expand her mind a little bit so that she'll be able to understand how everything works, because she's fascinated by it and wants to learn.
Okay, give me an Arcana check, please.
Okay, let's see how this goes. Oh, it was a 10.
10. So, Grey is curled up in a ball. He's dozed off to sleep. Lopan has eventually kind of gotten himself into his little hammock. You just see him disappear. All you can see is the tops of his 2 feet on one end, and his ears kind of flopped up and pointed out on the other end. So, like, just kind of curved into this hammock, and you can hear a soft as he snores in the hammock. Straight away, you center yourself, and again, like Grey, the hum of the ship helps you just lose yourself within your own thoughts, your mind going blank, focusing, and then you're just left adrift. You feel the void around you, and you sense the energy of the ship as it moves through the void, you at its center. Energy all around you, but it's not in any way trying to attack you. It's like a cocoon that's enveloping you, keeping you safe and keeping you warm. And it is a nice feeling. A feeling that you haven't had in a very, very long time. And it's, you can choose whether it's a scary feeling for you or whether this is something that you actually embrace. What do you want to do in this moment?
I think Dill is going to embrace it.
Okay. You let yourself fall slightly into the warm embrace of the ship, and just off in the distance, kind of right of center of your mind, as you look into this beautiful cascade of colors, this kaleidoscope of colors around you, you see 2 minds linked off in the void. A warm glow from them emanating out. But they are contained and safe within. Give me a perception check with advantage, please.
That'll be a 19.
19.
Yeah.
You're aware that these are the twins. Their minds similar to yours in their elven nature, but different at the same time. Bright, sparking colours flashing off them like fireworks as synapses fire and their energies pulsate throughout the ship. And as you get closer to them, you see that, like a nervous system, like an internal nervous system stretching out from the 2 minds, reaching out, veins and nerve endings kind of rippling through the ship as you then are more aware of it. Like you see these veins running past you and pulsating with energy, driving the ship on. And your mind is then aware of what looks like a kind of an outline of the ship made up of all these nerve endings and veins. And you can see the bones of it all put together, bright lights pushing its way through the cascade of the void. You then become aware of the rest of the minds of the crew. And as you're stretching out, it's at that point that right next to you, you feel this flash of shock, surprise, and emotional turmoil as Grey is jerked awake from his dream. And you can, if you wish, feel Grey snuggling closer to you, getting close for warmth. You can sense the frightened nature of him. Whatever has happened to Grey that has done this to him, you feel it at that level. You feel it at the kind of outstretched perceptive level.
She's going to very slowly just reach and pat his paw and just leave it there for a couple of seconds so that he knows he's okay.
Oh, I thought for sure I was getting shooed.
No. Because she felt it. Like if you'd just been like clungling over, but the fact that she felt it, she's like, oh no, that hurt him.
So Lopan, is there anything you're doing, or are you just sleeping?
It depends. Does my paw hurt me at all during my sleep?
Does your paw hurt you at all during your...
From getting zapped by the chair?
No. Doesn't.
That's okay then. I will not think I need to go to the doctor. So Lopan will sleep and have a good sleep.
Yeah, Lopan, you dream of gold carrots, carrot juice, carrot cake. You just wake up the next morning with a pang of hunger that you need to fulfill because you just dreamt of food all night long. It's like you were swimming through the void, and the void was carrots on a ship made of carrots. You land in a sea of carrot juice. It's just all carrots, and it's just beautiful. And there are young rabbit maidens that are feeding you carrots, and just, you know, keeping you well fed and well looked after. And you wake, and your hand no longer feels pain, and it no longer has any marks on it, and you're well rested, and everyone can mark a long rest on their character sheets. Also, and we can deal with this at some point as well. Actually, no, I'll talk about this later. The three of you, Gray, if there's nothing else you want to do, Zazar, if there's nothing else you want to do at this point?
No.
No? The three of you awake, refreshed, as it is, Gray. The next morning, or at least 8 to 9 hours later, morning doesn't really exist in the void. And you hear the clambering of the crew once more out on the deck, and shouting, and like the usual, oi! As the day begins, we are going to take our break because we are well into this episode at this stage. After the break, we are going to announce the winners of these fantastic double editions or omnibus editions of the Drizzt Do'Urden. It's a recap of it's a comic book adaptation of the first 6 books of the Drizzt Do'Urden series, and we will announce the winner of this after the break. Our giveaway prize for this month from Dublin City Comics is the Mighty Nine Origins Caleb Widogast hardback graphic novel written by Jody Hauser, Liam O'Brien, Matthew Mercer, with art and letters and colours from Selena Espiritu, Diana Souza, and Ariana Marr. This is a great book. I have this as well, actually. It's kind of like the origin story of the character of Caleb Widogast. Anyone that's a Critical Role fan will know who that is. We already gave away, a couple of months ago, we gave away the Jester Lavur one. This is the Caleb Widogast one. So we'll ask the question for this after the break. So folks, we will see you in a minute.
Bye.
Oh, we are back. So, the giveaway, thanks to our sponsors, Dublin City Comics. Fine bunch of people. Go check them out at dublincitycomics.ie. So, these are 2 beautiful Volume 1 and Volume 2 of the omnibus of the Drizzt Do'Urden graphic novels, which are the retellings of the... So this one is the retelling of the Legends of Drizzt Do'Urden, and this one is the retelling of the Crystal Shard, Streams of Silver, and the Halfling's Gem. So the Companions of the Hall, Companions of the Hall is this one, and that's the Homeland series. So these are great comic books and actually quite hard to get a hold of. So, Jill, roll me a D10, please.
Okay.
List.
That is a 4.
Greg Heron. Greg has actually won some stuff from us before. Greg, congratulations.
Nice one,
you
Greg.
are the winner. I'll be in touch I think I still have your details from before, Greg. Well done. I'll be in touch with you to get your address, and these will be winging their way to you in the near future. Congratulations, well done. Now, our giveaway for this month is a copy of the Mighty Nine Caleb graphic novel, all contained hardback graphic novel written by Jodie Houser, Liam O'Brien, and Matthew Mercer. Really, really good stuff, this. Now, I will say, warning, this is a mature content comic book, so if you are not of age, this is probably not going to be viable for yourself, so be aware of that. There is content in this book that is for a mature audience.
Give it to me.
So, the question, very much like the Jester Lavur one, what is the name of the player who plays Caleb Widogast in the second season of Critical Role, second campaign of Critical Role? Caleb Widogast is the character. What is the name of the player who plays Caleb Widogast? Answers below in the comments. Share the video and tag Irish Pubcast. So you have to share the video on social media, be it Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Tag Irish Pubcast so we know you've shared it, and then you will be in a chance to win that, and we will get that out to you in the post. If the post allows for it, because we're still having problems with post at the moment, getting stuff around the world, and hope to have that rectified soon. So, without further ado, we are going to jump straight back into it. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Dakota Irish and Dublin City Comics, DakotaIrish.ie. You can use the discount code down below there. That will give you a discount at checkout upon all of your purchases. And also check out Dublin City Comics at DublinCityComics.ie, or jump into them in Capel Street. They're a great bunch of folks. They've got everything from comic books to action figures, for a brand new, second-hand, plethora of stuff, a treasure trove of stuff. Really, really great bunch of people. So go check both of our sponsors out. So, the group, the crew, you wake up the following 9 hours later, because you don't know if it's morning or night here. And you are all well rested. You are in your cabin. Are you staying where you are for a bit, or what are you doing? What are the group doing at this point? What do you want to do?
I get up. I'm a little self-conscious being so close to Zill, but I give her a little, and then I just blurt, "Go look for some food," and then I scamper off.
Okay.
Yeah, very excited about this place, so I'm being a bit rude.
I think he has the right idea, though. I'm kind of hungry.
Then, like, someone say food. Oh, yeah, I'm up for that. Literally, I'm in a hammock.
Jesus
and I'll roll out a hammock and like land on the ground and
roll me a hammock. So the trio make your way out onto the deck, and the crew it's sparse. Like, the ship is in full sail, so like the crew are just doing everyday chores, cleaning the stuff up, but there's not as many of them on deck. And within a couple of minutes, you're directed and you go down below into the bowels of the ship, and you follow your nose, and you find that the galley is open and it is cooking fresh meals for all of the crew involved. You're served up a plethora of different options. You've got full vegetarian if you wish that. You've got a beautiful meat eater's platter that's available to you. You've dried meats, cheeses, some very nice crusty breads, all fresh food. It seems like that the galley definitely keeps a well-stocked kitchen, and it is nice. It's all hearty, good, filling stuff. It's a filling breakfast that will do you till lunchtime, even if you're going to be working non-stop up deck. You see some familiar faces. You see Von Breck and the maid kind of off in one corner by themselves, kind of chatting pushedly over some food. Von Breck is eating anyway. And they kind of look up and give you a wave and a nod. Like Carabash.
Is there any room beside them?
There is, yeah. There is some room beside them.
Okay.
You see Carabash off to one side, and he's talking kind of hushedly with what looks like an elderly gentleman with slick back, tight, like side shaved head, slick back, kind of over the top hair, slightly pointed ears that are covered in earrings. He's got tattoos on one side of his face, He's wearing. He's not wearing the kind of the leather armor. He is wearing the kind of the high collared shirt, but this one is of a bluish hue, and he's wearing the maroon pants as he's sitting there with just what looks like a mug of steaming liquid in front of him, and he's kind of nodding along to Carabash. Carabash is talking, and Carabash looks up and nods and sees you and waves as you enter into the kind of the kitchen area, the galley area. The gentleman turns around to see you, and you can see that he's got a kind of full, kind of grey mustachioed, curled mustache and a little pointed beard, sharp cheekbones, very bright grey eyes, and a kind of tufted-looking eyebrows. And he has an elvish demeanour, but kind of like mixed. Kind of you think it's human, so he's kind of like a half elf. And he kind of just gently raises his mug. You don't know who it is, but he kind of raises his mug and gives you a little salute with it. And then just turns and goes back to talking with Carabash. And then the crew are just milling about the place. You see Bright Eyes again off by the corner, and there's a couple of other young crewmen that are kind of chatting, and he's sitting there with them, and he's just looking nervous. And one or two of them are turning to him every now and again and slapping him on the back and having a laugh. And it seems like a joyous group. There's no real snideness about it. They are seemingly including him in it, everything, even though he's reluctantly taking part. So that's pretty much what you see in front of you as a galley is.
I'm going to go up and get myself a nice meat platter and make my way over to the Maiden von Breck and have a sit down and chat with them.
Von Breck gives you another. All right, how's it going? You think then you're in the void. Pretty spectacular, actually, isn't it? It's my first time I was a bit of an eye opener, but yeah, what do you think?
It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
Oh, is this just a travel part? No, honestly, we're going to the Flotsam. You're going to see a lot of different things. It's fun. It's interesting. It's definitely a melting pot of a bit of everything you'd find out here in the Flotsam. He's looking very kind of inspired by the whole thing, and the maid is just sitting there rolling her eyes as he kind of just like seems to gesture at nothing.
Okay then. So do you think we'll find somebody to help us with these markings then?
He kind of snaps out of it. He's I have no doubt. I think I could probably guess who we're going to see. Actually, the captain.
Oh, any hints?
Well, they're called the Brothers. Oh,
great, more brothers.
Well, yeah, they're not really brothers though. It's kind of hard to explain. But it's what they're called really in the kind of circles they move in. But they're kind of information brokers, tinkerers of sorts. They've got a bit of magic to them, but they kind of know a bit of everything about everything. Or if they don't know it, they know somebody who does. So
okay,
they could. I'm guessing because they're set up in the Flotsam, and if memory serves me, they definitely owe the captain a favour or two. So my money will be on them.
and what do you hope to get out of this trip?
Well, I'm just happy to be out of the. Neverwhit was kind of getting a bit boring for me, and I really wanted to get out and stretch my legs again. You know when you get that wanderlust? It kind of niggles at me every now and again, every couple of 100 years. And it's been a while since I've been in the void, so here we are. You know, and I told her I'd bring Maid with me as well, because she hasn't really seen much of the world. Young thing that she is.
I'm going to turn to her and say, and what about you? What do you want? Never mind him.
And she kind of meekly, well, kind of meekly at this stage, because she has gotten comfortable around the three of you. Well, I'm interested in seeing what all of this brings, really. And Ombrek here thinks I'm fresh to the world as it is, but I've seen my share of situations, and this is definitely one of the more interesting ones. Who knows? And if she looks sideways at Ombrek, he wishes to maybe find a cure for my ailment, but up until this point, I think it's served me rather well, now that I've gotten used to it. And he kind of harumps a bit. He's like, well, coughs a bit on his coffee that he's drinking. We shall see, my dear, we shall see. And again, she just rolls her eyes like that indignant teenager look on her ever young face.
Well, surely it's her choice if she wants to be cured or not.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Of course, it is her choice, but it's definitely something that we have to keep in check, if you know what I mean. It's dangerous. We don't want it's overflowing with anger and rage, and if she looks at somebody the wrong way and decides to rip their throat out, it's going to be on us, really. So I'm really hoping that we can learn to curb our feral instincts, if you know what I mean.
I get you.
So, until then, I suppose it's really just life on board, really. Do you have anything planned for the next day or two?
I kind of just want to explore the ship if I can. I'm fascinated.
It's a beauty, isn't she? Yeah. Spear now. It's been run by Ming for quite some time now. You don't know the history of it, do you? You haven't been told. Did she tell you how?
Not yet.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's common knowledge, but the crew would be aware of it. But if you don't know, she procured it from her father. A wily old space traveller he was, or is. I don't really know if he's still alive, but yeah, she wanted to get out on her own and prove her worth, and prove it she did. And her father is quite the formidable individual, and she had to impress him something mighty in order to inherit this ship. And you just hear behind you a large cough, a forced cough, and you kind of, if you look, I see kind of Von Breck look up, but he kind of slightly drains of colour as Carabash is kind of just looking over and coughing in his general direction after overhearing the conversation. Is just kind of like sipping on a mug and looking directly at Von Breck, who just like stifles. Yeah, well, I mean, that's a tale really for another day, I suppose. Yeah. But
I'm sure Ming now will tell me herself.
sure. I think I'm finished. I'm finished here. I think I better be going. Good luck to you on the rest of your afternoon, morning, or whatever time of day it may be. I have affairs to look into. Yes. Are you coming, dear? Or well, yeah, I'm going. And he just gets up and leaves.
I'm come scampering back to the squad. I finished my loop.
Did you go around Did you go around the ship?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to investigate anything in particular while you did your loop?
No, I was doing a scurry.
Okay.
Scurry.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you want to go into in depth into anything you might have seen, or do you want to no? Okay, all good.
I'm the cat of the world. Sorry.
And so Gray arrives back just as Von Breck is leaving.
Wayne, Lopan, when he gets his food, he's going to half meat, half veg. He'll look round and he'll see where Zildara goes, and he'll look over at where Owen is, and he'll wander off to Owen.
Okay.
Or hop over to Owen. I want to ask him a few things.
Okay. So you saunter up and kind of prop yourself up on the table, hop up onto a chair that kind of gives you at eye level with Owen, who is again sitting on the end of a of a long table of other crewmates who are kind of conversing between each other. And a couple of them noticed you prop up, and a few of them raised their tankards, and I was like, yeah, morning. And you look over, and there's this gnome who kind of is looking, he's kind of at eye level with you as they're propped up on another stool. Well, hello there. You're one of the new crew members or new groups that have come on board, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't think of us like crew members, but like I suppose, yeah, we might be, yeah.
Oh, we haven't really. I mean, the captain brought you on board, and we figured you were part of the crew now. But if you're how you are, that's fantastic. And he kind of just starts gibbering and chattering, kind of incessantly under his breath, but also speaking very fast at the same time. We haven't taken on new crew members since young Owen here. Bright Eyes himself here.
That's why I thought I'd come over, and like I met him last night. And he was like really nice, so I thought I'd better to kind of get it out of the way, so to speak, and start talking to you all. Don't want to be rude on me first day.
That's a fine idea. See, you've made a friend, young boy. You've made a friend. Fantastic work. Well done.
My name's Lopan. What's yours?
Targyn Amberhands, and he kind of as he gestures with his hands, he holds up, and you see that his hands are kind of tattooed, heavily tattooed in what look like orange and gold script all along his hands, that kind of read in arcane writing and look like they have like little diagrams and schematics just tattooed up that go along down his wrists and kind of seem to vanish down the sides of his arms like veins as they dissipate off. But it's like there's cogs and wheels and different gears all tattooed across the tops of his hands and the palms of his hands, all kind of with an orange and gold ink seems to kind of just run up, dissipate up his arm. It's like, I am one of the ship's many, I'm an artificer, really. I'm not so much a mechanic. I help with the arcane energies and contraptions and cogs and wheels and all of and he kind of starts rubbing the wood along the side. You see he's rubbing the runes, like, this is some of my work here, as you can see, and his little stubby fingers are just kind of gently caressing the arcane runes embedded in the wood, as he kind of displays them proudly towards you.
Hang on, are you saying you're the reason why if anyone like touches those chairs they get a shock?
You mean the Helm? Did you get a shock off there? Oh, no, that's no. And he kind of just takes a swig of his drink. He's like, yes, no, that wasn't my fault, and just kind of moves off.
That's all right. I was just gonna say it might be like a good advice to put a warning sign there, so like someone doesn't get a nasty shock. Like thankfully, like my I was grounded. I think that's so to speak. So it was alright.
It's generally considered quite safe not to touch anything that has an arcane glow anyway. It's kind of common sense, really.
Well, like when one of those elves was like leaning up against the thing, so you kind of reckon that like if he's able to lean up against it, it should be all right to kind of like wave your hand underneath it, like. But lesson learned, like, I won't be doing that again.
Because of me, there's a sign.
There is now. Yes, and Owen is kind of just sitting there watching all of this unfold, and as Targyn kind of gives you the rundown of his abilities and shows off his work engraved in the wood.
I will say it's lovely work. Like so like, is that like the ship that I've been on one, or like I won't toot me on horn, but like I've been on a flying ship before, like but like. This is like amazing. Like I jested earlier that it was small, but like it was just taking the mick, But like so, is this why it's able to do what it does because of these like symbols, like?
Well, partially, it's part of it, and we kind of, there's myself and a team of individuals, and he kind of gestures to other crew members along the table. We walk.
Raise my point and
some of them give you a nod, others are in deep in conversation, and kind of they seem to be arguing over small schematics that they have laid out in front of them. And it's part of an overall group of people. We're a team. And we have put this all together and can maintain the ship. It wasn't ourselves who built it. We didn't build it. This ship is older than most of the crew. We are very lucky to be inheriting the work that's involved in keeping it and maintaining it and keeping it in the sky, in the void. And it is quite a treat. And he seems just overjoyed and happy to be speaking about this with somebody who has an interest, who isn't one of his fellow artificers or crew members.
I'm like, I just like to always know certain things when I'm in a situation. Like when I was on the flying ship, we were given these para hooks. So if we fell off the side, a hook would shoot out and kind of knock into the wood, stopping us from falling to our doom. But I don't see any of you guys doing that at all. So what's stopping you from falling over when you do a turn to the left or the right?
Well, actually, it's quite ingenious. All spelljamming ships have these gravity wells that extend from outside the circumference. Think of it as a giant bubble of gravity and air. So we are breathing the air. We have at least 5 days worth of air in our bubble that we have. And he's kind of gesturing with his hands wildly as he says this. And then within that bubble as well, we have a gravity well, which maintains you and keeps you on the ship. If you were to, say, fall or be pulled skyward in the direction upwards towards maybe the top masts or something, the gravity would still kick in. It's only when you're outside of the gravity well that you would float off into the void. And by then you just freeze to death anyway in a couple of seconds. So it's, well, depending. It's situational. I once knew a tiefling that survived 5 days in the void from sucking arcane pockets and eating. It was interesting, very interesting study. But they turned bright blue afterwards. They were initially pink, but they became blue. It's just stay on the ship. That's my recommendation. Don't go wandering.
And he's going to take notes just to remember the important stuff in his little journal he's got.
There are things.
Right. So just stay on the ship is pretty much it.
Well, I mean, if you wish to travel outside in the void, we do have contraptions that allow you to travel that way. They're called gadabouts. There are organic creatures that are very friendly, and they infuse you with a breathable bubble, and then give you these beautiful, intricate wings that allow you to float and fly in the void. And he's kind of up on his chair now at this point, excited and, really interested in talking to you about this. And just, he's getting more and more flamboyant when he's giving these descriptions.
Are you saying, I can get wings and fly just by going up to one of these gadabout things and asking?
Well, it's a symbiotic relationship between yourself and the gadabout. So we have them, they're stored. They're well kept by crew members down in the I think it's 3 levels down. There's an artificer team that look after these, as well as a biologist, because they are living creatures. It's at this point that Owen seems to be now taking this moment to get up and move away from the group, because everyone's engaged in conversation and nobody's talking to him. And he's just finishing his breakfast and he's now going to get up and leave.
Oh, I actually came over to talk to him, but I'm doing gross in this.
Yeah.
So it's I didn't understand that last word, but I reckon it's just a matter of giving him a couple of gold, I get you right, yeah.
Yes. And the crew, the rest of the crew, then there's a whistle that blows after about 10 minutes of this conversation. A whistle goes off, and the crew kind of start hurrying, and it's like their breakfast shift is over, and start readying themselves to go up on deck.
Yeah.
I'll run back to the group and all kind of 5-year-old kid just finding out that Santa's arrived. I'll be like, that, apparently there's this thing and you go up to it and you make a deal or a symbiote to it and it gives you wings. It's like,
what?
I don't know how much gold it's gonna be, but I'm definitely getting one.
You sound like a crazy person. What are you talking about?
No. They told me a gadabout. You make a symbiote deal or something. It gives you wings, you can fly.
Okay.
Lopan, is this a Tomo thing?
Oh, hang on. And he kind of thinks were they taking the mick?
Hey, if there's things like that around, we'll see them.
right? Did you say it flies?
Like apparently,
Really?
well, I kind of zoned off for a bit, but like that's the gist of it, I think. Anyway, like
Sounds exciting. I still don't understand how we fly. I don't know how many spheres there are. I don't think I'll ever know.
I say we try get a tour.
Yeah.
your man, that table, they apparently like designed some of the stuff, like, and he points to one of the symbols. Like, it's those symbols that kind of like help the ship fly, and like then there's this like bubble that stops us from not breathing. But if you kind of like jump off the ship, you'll freeze. Unless you find pockets, and then you'll just change a different color. Like, that's what he said. Like, I think.
Which
makes sense, because one time Tomo told me that like he found this wall and he licked it and he turned blue. So I'm like, it makes a bit of sense, like,
Hey,
you
Zil,
never get off the boat, John.
Zil, do you think that guy would know what your markings mean, or Ming knows? I mean, I presume if he knew all arcane symbols, she would have gone there first, maybe.
He
Absolutely. I think we need to go to this flotsam place before we're going to find anything else out on these symbols.
Okay.
Has the galley kind of cleared out now, Wayne? Is it just ourselves left? Is the maid still there?
Yeah, no, the maid kind of eventually got up and headed off with followed up on Breck. But after the crew start to move out, Carabash starts to make his way over to you folks, and he's like, "Well, you had initially said you wanted to try and help the twins in some way. Is that correct?"
Yeah.
Yeah, if I can.
Well, I suppose there's no time like the present. We're 2 days out, 2.5 days out from the flotsam, so I suppose if we're going to try and speed things up and do it safely, it's best to try it now, while we're in a particular pocket of space that is well traversed. And he kind of gestures, kind of not so much obvious, but he comes like, and just grunts and starts moving on towards the deck, the stairs that go back up towards the deck. And kind of gestures for you to follow
him. I'm going to ask the other two, do we want to get a better lay of this land, this ship, before we go help him, or should we just straight?
I've been around it. I've been around.
What do you think?
I think it's amazing, but yeah, I'm gonna see if I can give myself some work on here. I feel like I owe these folks.
Carabash is kind of up on the deck as you I think you are all going up, are you?
Yeah.
So as you all make your way back up, and you see the chef, who's this large kind of creature that you've seen for the first time now, as he came out from the back behind the galley about the kitchen. And you've never seen anything like this before. Before you is essentially a giant hippo man. Like a full muscled body that has like a cook's apron across it. A small cap that's kind of pinned to his ears, but there's no hair. His small ears kind of flapping. His large, bulbous kind of face of a hippo. Excuse me. His massive hands are kind of cleaning up plates as he looks up as the three of you start to depart, and he kind of gives you all a gruff nod. This is what's essentially called a griff. This is a race that is synonymous with spelljamming and the void and traveling through the Flostajon. They're not really native to any planet that you're used to. You've never seen him. This is the first time you're seeing one of these things. He is huge, broad, stocky, like not fat.
Do we know what hippos are?
You don't really know. Like, this is very weird looking creature that you've never seen before, and it's kind of takes you all aback. Towering over Lopan, like you're talking an easily 6.5 to near 7 feet tall, and this galley is built around him. But he carries himself very well, and he has blades on him, and he looks like he could do well in a fight. You just catch this as he kind of moves in and out of the kitchen, back in and out, really not paying you much attention, but gives you a gruff nod as you head back up to the deck. As you get up on deck, the crew are milling about. The crew that were down below are all milling about and moving around. And you can see that Lopan, you look across and you see the gnome artificer that you're talking to is off with a small group of other crew members, and they're looking at. They have kind of diagrams out on spread out on the deck and weighted down as they're kind of looking at kind of sections of the deck, and they seem to be pairing off as if to clean it up or repair it in some way. Carabash is still talking to the grey-haired individual with the pointed ears and the slick hair and the little kind of curly mustache and a beard. As you kind of come up onto the deck, he turns and sees you and just kind of claps this individual on the back and just kind of waves him off, and you see him turn and walk up to towards the stem of the boat, to the front of the boat. He heads towards that, kind of looking at the work that's happening around him, but kind of keeping an eye on the crew. Carabash turns to the tree. He's like, well, I mean, do you want to go now or do you want to wait?
Now?
Yeah.
I'll go now.
I mean, what else are you going to be doing, I suppose?
Whichever's easier on you.
If I, yeah, go on.
Carabash, like, who was that guy that you were chatting to that gave us the nod earlier? Like, he seemed to have known us. Like.
Oh, that's Merrick. That's the ship's cleric or doctor or sawbones and stuff. If I was to give you a visual of Carabash, he'd be like a half-orcish version of Peter Serafinowicz.
Oh, lovely.
I love it.
That's kind of what he looks like. He's kind of got that. Kind of
Amazing.
Dwayne Benzie. So he's like he's very nonplussed about a lot of things. He's our sawbones. He just looks after the crew, keeps us all in good spirits to a degree. Very good on the loot, actually. And absent-mindedly says this as he kind of starts to lead the way back towards the back of the ship. As the double doors open in front of you, and you make your way through the familiar corridor and into the Helm room, where the twins are sitting plugged into the twin helm that they have of the Silver Spear, the arcane energy crackling. Again, you feel at home with the base of your skull. The spellcasters do anyway. The base of your skull, as the energy just fills the room, and it's pulsing now as the ship is in full flight and has been solidly for the last day. The twins, nonplussed, eyes closed, kind of sitting back in these tall chairs, linked together. And again, Zilzara, from your meditation last night, you remember reaching out and seeing these two pretty much conjoined minds that were driving this vessel, and you could sense the energy, and even now as you feel it, you can just visualize looking at the ground where you remember that kind of nervous system that reaches out into the ship, driving it forward. And they don't seem to be tired in any way. They're pushing on through the night, and they are in full swing. Now, obviously, the ship isn't in full tilt. As you're aware, it's been dialed back to 2/3 full power to avoid any dangers. So, what do you two, like, as Carabash comes, he's like, I'll be honest, I am not in any way spellcaster. I hit things. I protect the crew. I protect the captain with my fists and with my blades. So, as the spellcasters here, and if there's anything you can think can help, feel free. And he kind of takes a step back, the back of the room, well out of range of anything that might happen in the vicinity of you lot. Lopan, you're standing there as the two spellcasters are doing their thing, or about to do their thing.
I sense he's backing away as if something's going to happen. It just occurs to me that if I just got an electric shock by touching stuff, that if people mess with them, it could be worse, and they might not get affected considering they're spellcasted. So yeah, Lopan kind of goes, I'm like, I'll just be back here and, like, keep an eye on the place while you're doing your thing. and just move back as far as I can.
Okay. So here's how we might do this here now, because you're going to try and help these two spelljammers driving the Helm to actually boost the ship in some way that would keep it safe. So
I'm trying to think what's the best spell or thing to do.
I have got... Hey, Zil, I got an idea.
Yeah?
You were gonna maybe I would work on one guy and you would work on the other, maybe? Wait,
Double team? Yeah.
you people.
Oh god.
I can't help it, Captain.
Body talk doesn't suit my character at all. Okay, yeah, I was thinking of maybe doing, I've got a spell where I can enhance ability. Or I could just do a little song. But I don't know. What were you thinking?
My training is more of a destructive type rather than an enhancement type.
Yeah, I'm
I'm wary of I could blast a ray of frost, but I don't want to damage anybody. I don't think that it will. I don't know how to apply my rather nefarious skills in the best way.
Maybe you could join in on my song, you know?
Really?
Yeah.
As the two of you are discussing this, you hear from one of the twins on the chair, you know, really, if you just want to help us with arcane abilities, you could simply just hold our hand. And he reaches out. You see this kind of slim, long-fingered hand just reach out towards you. We can channel together if you wish. Mainly, it just takes up your arcane abilities to drive the ships. And he still has his eyes closed, fully focused. One hand still resting on the left-hand side, of the chair. But you notice that there are tendrils of energy arcing up and connecting with his arm as it's reached out. Not damaging in any way, but it's like there's long, wispy tendrils that are just kind of moving from where the chair is up into his body and along his arm, and like giving it a soft bluish glow. Both of you give me an Arcana check.
Okay. Oh, she's not gonna come on now. Oh, for fuck's sake.
24.
Nice.
Ooh, that makes up for me. I got 9.
Okay. So Zara, you kind of...
I got us, baby.
Yeah. You're kind of standing there and you kind of hold on to... You find yourself instinctively just holding on to your crystal for a second as you see this hand reach out and these blue tendrils. And again, you go back to your meditation from the night before and you realize the warmth and the safety of the ship, how enveloping it is. And you just know instinctively as you hold the crystal, you feel it pulse. And your hand just, other hand reaches out and comes close to contact with the elves. And you can see this tendrils start to kind of move from him and envelop themselves around you. And instinctively you know that this is not a bad thing. And you realize with that particular roll, exactly 24 is like, you know exactly what you need to do. What this is going to do, what spell jamming does, if you are a spell jammer and you're flying a helm, it uses your spell slots. That's what it does.
Right.
So you expend your spell slots for the day flying the ship. Okay. So helping these jammers is basically going to expend spell slots. You're not going to need to fire a ray of frost into them or anything like that, or you know. So it's what it's going to do is it's just going to use up your spell slots. But I'm going to put a bit of a twist on this because the whole point of this is for you trying to get the ship through the void safely without any mishaps. Yes. So I'm going to get you to do two things here. You are going to use your spell slots, and both of you have. So you have
full.
You're grand. So you've got your spell slots. So Zara, you've got 4 first level, 3 third level, so 3 second. So you've got 8 altogether. And Ray, you have same.
Do you want me to count them?
I can also spend sorcery points.
You've got you've actually got 9.
I have 4 and 3 and 2. I can add.
Zara, you've actually got 9 as well. So you've got 9 spell slots each. So what I want you to do here, since Zara is the full sorceress, Zara, I want you to roll Arcana. And then, Gray, I want you to roll Survival.
Oh no, poor Gray.
That was 16 plus 5, so 21.
21 for me too.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
So you, the two twins both reach out a hand to each of you, and you slowly but surely take the hand, and you feel the tendrils move up along your arms, and your vision suddenly goes tunnel for a second. It's like you're getting pulled in, and then it expands outwards, and you can see in all directions 360 degrees, as if you're just floating above the ship. It's like that. It's not so much fisheye, but you can rotate your head 360 degrees and you see the entirety of the ship and the world around you. And you can see the void zipping past, and you feel your essence reaching out ever so slightly, not fully, because they are in control and you're just like piggybacking on them. But you can start to sense the ship, its intricate underlying arcane energy. Feel the very wood of the deck. As and it's exhilarating. You've never felt the sensation before. It's like your consciousness has just been expanded immensely, and you're not even at the full tilt here. You're not in full control, but you're, because as I said, piggybacking. With that survival check, as soon as you do this, there's an instant boost of speed. And as you're looking out, both of you looking out at the deck of you see the crew actually go whoa as the ship just takes off, full warp factor 7 like hits in, and you just like whoom, and you just see those streaks as the ship picks up speed. Lopan, you're standing beside Carabash, and you just see Carabash is just like, and it's about as impressed as he gets. And you see Lopan, what you see is the Zilzara and Gray, the tendrils from the twins have wrapped themselves around their arm, and as a bright blue glow has moved up their body, and they seem to be intertwined. And the readouts around them on, like, say, the runes on the walls just start to glow, like, kind of in unison. They all start to hum and glow, and it gets even brighter in the room. The star map above in the dome ceiling just starts to tilt and move ever so quickly, and this then starts to speed up, and you see streaks of light and streaks of kind of starscapes that twist and turn, and vortexes that are there 1 second and gone the next. And the two of you, as your consciousness expands and you see this light just flashing past, you know that you've definitely helped in this particular situation. Again, so we're going to do 3 rolls in total. So I'm going to do another Arcana. Okay. This time I'm going to get Gray to roll the Arcana and Zilzara to roll the Survival.
Shit, what are my survival? Terrible, probably.
Survival stat +1.
7.
7, okay.
18 plus 1, 19.
19. Okay. The ship maintains its speed. It doesn't go any faster. And as your consciousness stretches out, you start to sense things within the void, like brief flashes of light. And sorry, the Arcana check was the low one, wasn't it? The survival check was the high one. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Survival check was the high one, yeah. So
you start to sense things in the void, and like brief flashes of light as they just zip past. But again, the ship maintains its speed. There's no wobble, there's no kind of break, there's no any fracture, anything that resembles what you've heard before from Carabash about the description of the 2 instances where they saw the spell-jamming ship crumple in on itself, or that giant asteroid crab kind of half alive, trapped in kind of enveloped in the prism of what is the Phlostogen. So this is the final roll. I'm going to reverse it again. Lopan Survival and Zilzara Arcana. DC on this is slightly higher compared to the other ones. So
Dead Lopan, I was really worried.
Sorry, Zilzara and Gray. Sorry.
So I'm rolling Arcana again.
Yes, and Gray, you're rolling the Survival.
8 plus 5, 13.
13 on Arcana, okay?
Ooh, 21, baby.
Survival.
Nice.
Okay. The ship starts to slow down as it starts to pull back a bit, and you kind of tense a second because you're not used to this type of a connection. You're used to being contained within yourself, and you start to feel uncomfortable in this because you're sensing both the twins together as one mind, and also Grey is there as well, and you're sharing this consciousness with these three individuals, and it's starting to unnerve you a bit, and you pull back a bit, and as you do, the ship starts to slow. And just as it starts to slow, there is a flash starboard bow of the ship, and a fracture appears, and there's a crack that, like lightning in the air, that starts to ripple through as the stars start, the lines of stars breaks and snaps, and it's like part of where you're traveling caves in on itself, and the ship lurches slightly towards it. But Grey, you see this happen, and you reach out and push with your mind with that higher roll. Was it 21 you got, was it?
Yep.
What did you get?
Yep.
21?
Yep.
The DC was 20. So the ship pushes, and you feel the ship start to suck in, and Lopan, you see Carabash kind of stand up a second as if he's hearing something, and the shouts, and you all see the crew on deck as they see this in the distance, and the shouts and calls of alarm, and you manage to shunt the ship away from the fracture as it appears just off the starboard bow.
Oh, wow.
And you push past it, and you see it disappear behind you. Just it's like the space is folding in on itself and starting to kind of crumple and crack. It's kind of like a bullet hole in the windshield type of a situation.
Do I have the wherewithal to know what we did?
You just instinctively pushed the ship, so you may not know exactly what you did.
Yeah, but do I know enough to go yay?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I go yay.
Yay. Sorry, stupid question. Does it matter which spell slots we've used for those?
For those particular 3 rolls, I'm going to get you to use up. You're using up your 2nd level spell slots.
Okay.
Trade in.
Done.
Okay. Because you have shaved an entire day's travel off.
Nice.
We're helping. We're helping you.
Zilzara, you instinctively pull yourself out of the connection, and you find yourself kind of standing slightly disorientated as your consciousness comes back into your own body, and you're kind of left there. Grey, you kind of slowly but surely come back out of it and readjust with yourself, and the twins then just sink back into the chairs. Like, you can hear the two of them in unison, like, well, that was very interesting indeed. Carabash, I do believe these 2 fine adventurers saved our bacon. And Carabash is kind of looking, nodding slightly, and it's like, well, this is interesting. I think I need to go speak to the captain. Alone. And he just turns and walks away out the door, leaving the 3 of you there in the room. Is there anything in the group? Lopan? Yeah?
Yeah, I hear that alone, and he wanders off. I want to ninja vanish and follow him in Learwig.
Okay.
If I can.
Yeah. Does that require any perception from me?
Well, I'm going to do a stealth. Well, you tell me. Do I need to? I want to do a stealth and kind of follow him and like earwig then when they're talking.
Give me a stealth check with advantage because he's distracted.
Thank you.
Perception check for him.
So advantage. Oh, that's a 24.
Yeah, he rolled a natural 6 plus.
Ooh.
Actually shy. So yeah, that's fine. No, you literally, the 2 of you, when you're kind of coming back into consciousness as you're slipping into the room, you see Carabash leave, and you look around and you're like, "There's Lopan." Lopan, you're stealthing behind Carabash as he stalks himself through the corridor. We'll come to you now in a second, Lopan. Gray and Zilzara, what are you doing at this point? You've just come back into the room. You're back in the room.
We're back in the room.
You're back in the room, and your consciousness has now slipped back into your bodies. It was a very unique experience for both of you, and a different experience for both of you, considering how you are as individuals. So you're now kind of, the twins are eyes closed, still in their chairs. The ship, the runes are starting to kind of, the glow is starting to come back down. And you're kind of just looking at each other as you stand there.
I go over to Zill and I'm like, grab her hands. I'm like, hey, we did that. Oh my God. I get to feel so powerful. I felt like that must be what you feel like all the time, right? When you're exploding, guys, right?
It was different though. It was different than when I normally explode, guys. It felt great.
Sorry, my double entendre disease is kicking in something fierce.
Double that entendre. Oh, damn it.
That was wild.
That was pretty intense, man. I kind of feel like I need a drink. I kind of feel like we should bring these two boys for drinks when we eventually stop at the flotsam. Do you guys ever get a break?
Yes, darling, we get a break when the ship stops.
So how far are we from your destination?
A day's travel.
A day's travel. So, see you for drinks in a day. I'm gonna go for a wander.
Mm-hmm.
So
hey, Gray, why don't you show me some of your favorite bits that you saw earlier?
Sure. Some of the parts I got really good acoustics.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I'll show you. What about Lopan? What you doing, Lopan?
Lopan's not there. He's gone. You can.
Oh yeah, he went to sneaking.
Yeah, you two can give me a perception check if you want with disadvantage. Because you're coming back into it, and that's when he fucked off. So
yeah,
if you want
to see if we notice.
If you noticed him going poof.
Okay, well I didn't notice with that one.
Sorry, what am I rolling? Perception.
So my lowest was 8.
You didn't see shit.
17.
17. No, you didn't see him either because he rolled pretty high, 24.
Right. Nice.
Yeah. So you don't see him at all. You don't know where he's gone. You just know that he was there, and then
he stepped away from me, and he moved through the ship. Sorry.
Oh, I love it.
Sorry.
So Lopan, you're hot on the heels of Carabash. He's basically run. He's a brisk pace, not running, but he's walking at a brisk pace. He's a big man. He heads straight to the captain.
Power walking.
Yeah, power walking. Like,
even it sucks.
Like, he's how he keeps those tight buns, you know, in his maroon pants. He makes his way into the captain's cabin and closes and he kind of goes in, and you manage to slip in just as he closes the door. I'll allow for that with such a high roll. And you kind of hide yourself behind some of the furniture, and he kind of makes his way into the room. He's like, Captain, she was like, we picked up speed there. You told me we couldn't. And it's like, it was your new friends. They actually helped. They helped the twins. And I think we've shaved a fair chunk off our destination. I haven't done the calculations just yet, but we narrowly missed. I don't know what happened. According to the twins, it was the Tabaxi one that helped move the ship. It was like I felt that it was a bit. We shunted. Look, and she holds up like, oh, and you see her hold up a chart like, I was making a new chart and it made me do it. And it's like there's like a line that's like off.
Oh,
it's
I'm
like,
sorry.
No, I'm going to have to start this again. And she just puts it down and picks out another piece of parchment. What happened? Is that we almost hit a fracture. Almost. We moved at the last minute. We managed to shunt out of the way, but it was definitely there. Small at first, but started to grow. Apparently. The crew definitely saw it, so I'm going to have to calm down there. I'm going to have to rely on Merrick and his usual merriment. She look, well, give them more rum, I suppose. It always helps. Extra serving at dinner time at mess. Do you know? Find out how much we have left, but how much distance we have left to travel. But this. Do you think it's connected to them? He's like, well, to the original group, the original, and she kind of gestures at her collarbone. Lopan, give me a perception check, because you're hiding.
To shreds, you say?
19.
19. She kind of gestures kind of at her collarbone and kind of pulls it down slightly. She kind of reveals some of the arcane tattoos. The original crew. My father's crew. Do you think it's linked with them? It seems a bit too convenient that we're the ones finding these things, or you are at least. I don't know if it's linked with the crew, but it's definitely something to worry about. It may be. I mean, I don't know what that is. I don't know what you have to do to get rid of it. It's a curse that has followed this ship for a long time. And I've never seen it pass the way it's passed to you and to this new one. But if anyone could tell you what it is, it'd be the brothers. They knew your father. They knew the original crew members, I suppose, but they went down a darker path than what you travel. I know. It's just, I didn't think I'd have to deal with this so soon. I thought I'd have more time. And now I've seen it transferred. We need to contain it. Nobody else can be hurt this way. Hopefully the brothers can help us. Hopefully. Well, go on, make your calculations. We'll be there soon, I suppose. I'm going back to these charts. She kind of goes back and starts inking out the charts. And Karabash leaves.
I'll nip out when he opens the door.
Okay. Yep.
I just wanted to, just wanted to hear what they were saying. I'm a bit wary of this crew still. Just everything seems too nice. But
I mean, there was no way, because obviously I have the same markings as she has. There's no way they could have transferred to the brothers while we were helping.
Not that you noticed.
Okay.
Not that you noticed initially, no, but there didn't seem to be any transfer of that type of power. You could see. Okay, so you two are up on deck. Lopan, you've just snuck out from Karabash and the captain having that meeting.
I'm going to wander around the boat, just have a look round. So when I get back, I can tell a white lie that is truthful if anyone asks.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You two, where exactly are you going on the ship? What are you doing?
We are going below deck, but not very far down.
Okay.
So I don't know how many decks there are, but we're not out in the air anymore.
You're not out.
Not out.
We're in,
just out.
It's somewhat in. I'm just showing Zil some of the nooks.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a lot
of all the entendres,
dark corners. There are 5 decks in total. It's a very deep ship. There's a lot going on down there. Yeah, it's a beast of a thing. And it's kind of Time Lord technology. There's places in here that you're like, hang on a second. If we're here, we'd actually be outside the hull. What's going on? But as you drop down through the decks, you see the crew milling about below, and you're getting the impression that there's a lot of crew on this ship. all wearing the same garb. Some of them in newer garb than other ones. Some of the older crew members, you can see their leather armor is worn a bit. Their maroon trousers are a little bit faded, but they're all again going about their day, working at their stations, whatever stations that may be. You do pass, as you go down into kind of the middle decks, you do pass a large section that you kind of harken back to what Lopan talked about whatever these gadabouts are, and you see a bunch of half elves and tieflings, about 3 or 4 in total, kind of tending to these large plant-like creatures. Seem to have kind of weird bluish type of wings folded around them. They're hooked and held up on parts of the wall as you walk past. And the crew kind of give you a nod, and they seem to be spritzing them with little spritzer bottles that are kind of made out of little metal spritzer bottles. They're kind of rubbing them down, and you can see these plants are kind of like moving slightly and quivering, and the wings are kind of fluttering, and they kind of nod.
Sorry, I just have to plug my laptop in.
Yeah, it's just reminiscent of the description that Lopan gave you of whatever the hell these things are. And Gray, you bring Zilzara down, and you find this a couple of different areas that are just for storage. You see kind of like different crates, barrels, all this type of stuff. But you find some place that's some nice acoustic.
Yeah, so I'm literally dung 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 walking through just how nice the acoustics are. I'm like, check it out here, and dung 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 boom boom boom. It's nice, huh?
Yeah, it's great. There might have been something a bit more interesting down here.
Ah, well, we can do your thing now. I was just finding spots for things. You sure you don't want to sing a bit here before we leave? Because it's real good. Good baffles.
What have you been working on?
Oh. Gets all coy. Song about us, I think. Well, I'm working on it. It's not ready yet.
I see.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna have to do I have to change genre halfway through? Because this is crazy. I don't know. I mean, originally it was a ballad. Is it an opera now? I don't know.
Gets all synthy in the second verse.
Yeah, I mean, there could have been a chance that we'd just be passengers in this thing, and it wouldn't warrant a verse. But oops, we avoided a rift in space. I don't know. So, yeah, I'm working on things, but you can't hear it yet. It's not ready.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So, what would you like to look at?
I wouldn't mind going back up on deck and taking a stroll around, because I kind of want to see the stars go by.
Yeah, sure. That sounds nice.
Where did Lopan get to?
Yeah, where did Lopan get to?
Smash cut. Lopan.
You're probably wondering how I got here.
Lopan just floating in space.
Oh God!
And that's where we'll end tonight's episode. No,
then we
same shit
and we
happened to the
lay
same bunny
him back
twice.
in like this.
Yeah. Lopan, what are you up to?
I'm just wandering around the ship, kind of like look. It's just, if anyone asks me where was I can say, technically I'm not lying that I just went roaming around the ship. So what I'm doing, just waste about 10, 12. Actually, not waste. He will look around, and like he is kind of like away from everyone. He can kind of go, this is so cool, and wander around taking note of where everything is.
Is there a crow's nest on this one? There
is, yeah.
Okay.
I already had an idea. There's 2 places Lopan would love to go. He's going to save the best to last, but he just clicked with him. He wants to know what weapons they have on this ship, because he knows that certain ships have armaments. So what would this type of ship have? And then he's going to go to the crow's nest. Yeah, weapons. Just don't want to check.
So, Lopan, you're kind of wandering along the deck, and they're giving a nod to the crew, and some of them are not acknowledging your presence. You wander up to kind of along each side of the ship, and you notice that there are large kind of circular sections that are laid out that seem to have arcane crystals and trapdoors in them. That kind of seem to open into the deck below. Large trapdoors with these large, like there's on either side of this circular section, on the left and the right side of it, there are huge green arcane crystals that seem to kind of come up out of it, and then they have handles on them. And there's 3 on either side towards the kind of the stem of the ship, up at the front of the ship. So there's 3 on one side and 3 on the other, and they all seem to be pointed outwards. There's also one as you pass a bit further back. There's one on either side, kind of halfway down the ship. Now, you haven't been to the aft of the ship to see it, but you can kind of guess from the formation and what you've seen, actually, of your knowledge of ships in general, not just Spelljammers. The armaments are kind of laid out in that formation, and this looks like they are ballista placements, but there's nothing actually there.
Because it's been said around Lopan, does this look like you need to be a spell user to use?
No, it doesn't. Well, give me an investigation check.
Cool. Just investigation. Oh, okay. That's an 11.
11. You're kind of looking at it, and while there are definite components here that seem to have arcane energy, there's also mechanisms. There seems to be winches and cogs and wheels and handles that you would turn that do something, but for the life of you, you can't figure out what it is. You're kind of like,
Curiosity. I'm gonna look for a nearby crew member.
Yeah, you look around, and there's like a couple of crew members milling about, and then off to one side, see the familiar face of Bright Eyes. He seems to be up with his mop, and he's scrubbing the deck.
Owen, nice to see you. Like, come here for a sec.
Sorry, that was mop, not mop, right?
There it is, mop.
Okay.
Hello. Yeah.
Like, so you've been like, and I'm looking at it, and like, you've been here like what, 4 weeks now, yeah?
I have.
Yeah, and you've been pretty much around this. I was gonna say boat. Is that the right terminology for this boat, flying boat, or is it Spelljam?
It's a Spelljammer, I suppose. That's what they call it. Yeah.
Right. So, like, how does this work?
Oh, I haven't seen that work myself. It's one of their ballistas. I think, and he kind of meekly moves over and he kind of grips the handle. There's 2 handles, one on either side, so it's kind of like a circular motion that 2 people would push. And he's like, I think if I push this side and somebody pushes that side, it's a mechanism, and the ballista will come up out of the deck, and it will be there to fire. That's
when he goes over to one side and he says that, Lopan is on the other side pushing the sea.
Give me a strength check.
Oh God, really?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, there's my fun gone. Okay. An 11.
Okay.
Number 11.
He rolled -1. He also rolled an 11. It starts to you slowly but surely hear, and you just start to hear mechanisms like cogs moving and twisting, and the 2 arcane crystals that are kind of in the circular section, they just start to, and they glow slightly as you start to push it around, but it gets about not even a third of a rotation, and then it just stops, and you can't seem to push it any further. And Owen is like, I generally the bigger crew members are the one that pushes this stuff in and stuff. I'm not. I'm. This is why I just mop things.
No, it's all right. Like, may I suggest that, like, you kind of pull out the crossbones, like, why start training in this, like, where you're lacking strength, like, you might be good in, like, dex, so to speak. But no, I'm just kind of curious, and I kind of have a little bit more of a look, and like kind of like to see. I know a little bit about like crossbows and firearms, so I'm just kind of having a look to see if it's anything like that, or if it's more Arcana, which is kind of out of my set. Like,
from what you can see, as soon as you started to twist and turn this thing, the deck itself started to open slightly, and you can see that there's definitely a mechanism under the deck that's coming up out of it, but you could barely make it out. With that strength check, you couldn't really fully open it.
No worries. I give it a nod to Owen, saying like, we'll let go now and put it back then.
Yeah, he gingerly tries to start letting it, because when you're pushing something and you're like, yeah, this is a bit at the kind of the torque, but then as you're letting it back, it kind of moves a bit heavier. So he's like, and it just kind of clunks back and hits him in the chest. He's like, ow.
I'll kind of like, tap him on the back. I'm like, nah, it'll be all right, man. The pain will pass. Nice one, like,
Okay,
thanks for that, like, I appreciate that, like, at least we tried.
And he kind of weakly and meekly goes back over to his mop and bucket and starts mopping away, kind of like. Give me a perception check, Lopan.
No worries. That's a 21.
21. Just as Owen moves away, and you're kind of looking back at the contraption, you notice on the deck, kind of hidden behind where that kind of the handles were, but since it moved, it seems to have skittered out. You see a small kind of cerulean crystal. It's jagged and roughly hewn, uneven, but it glimmers, kind of like starlight. Small, even in your hand, it's kind of small.
I will say, like, I'm gonna wear gloves.
Yeah.
Pick it up just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. So you're gonna pick it up?
I'm gonna test to see if there's any heat coming off it.
You get close, and it kind of it's pretty cool enough to the touch, as far as you can tell. Quite cool.
Lopan looks around for signs, and then picks it up.
You pick it up, and as you hold it in your palm of your hand, it's small. It sits in the palm of your hand. It's quite small, but you're looking at it, and it's kind of shimmering, and it's like you're looking into part of the void.
Whoa!
And it's refracting. And roll me your perception check, please.
Oh, okay. 17.
Just on the last turn of it, when you're moving it around in your hand, you swear you see a golden eye peering out at you. Just for a brief second, as you move it in the palm of your hand, a golden eye kind of flickers, and then as you move it, it's gone.
I'm like, do, and I put it back down. Do, stand a little bit away, and then I take my light crossbow and point at it, and it's like, and I shout out, I'm just after seeing a bloody eye out of this thing. Like, to anyone that's looking, like, I'm pointing at it, like.
Oh, Owen is the closest crew member. He's like, you what?
Like, that thing looked at me.
And he kind of saunters over towards you and looks down and sees the crystal. He's like, what's that? And he goes to reach down and pick it up.
Don't, like, kind of push him back. Don't go near it, like. Just safety first. You're not even wearing gloves, Owen. Like, you don't know what the hell this could be. This could be, like a polymorph dragon or something. Like, you don't know what. Like, it could turn into like, many eyes or something, But, like, and I look around for, hey, you, like, come here. It's kind of getting any of the crew.
You see that the tall, half-elven gentleman with the white hair and the little beard come over. Well, what's the problem?
Like, I'm new to the ship, so, like, if it turns out to be ammunition, I apologize, but, like, that thing there, I picked it up, and I swear to God, it looked at me. I've heard rumors of, like, things like this with eyes, and they turn out to be, like, creepy things, but,
How interesting. He with a gloved hand, you notice, he kind of reaches down, picks it up, and kind of looks at it and turns it in his hand. Oh, very interesting. And he just stares at it.
Close to your face, like, just in case.
And Merrick, who he is, that's his name, as you were given.
Oh, it's a cleric. Oh, cool.
No, Merrick the cleric.
Merrick the cleric.
As he stands there looking at this crystalline whatever in his hand, and the silver spear cuts through the void towards the flotsam, with you on deck with him and Gray and Zilzara in the bells of the ship checking the acoustics. That is where we're going to leave tonight's adventure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I want to know what it is.
Oh, spoilers, sweetie.
This has been Sorcery and Shenanigans. We are in space. We hope you have enjoyed this episode. We will see you again very shortly. Do not forget to enter into this month's competition for the giveaway of
Win the things.
Mighty Nine Origins of Caleb Widogast. Who is the name of the player who plays Caleb Widogast in Campaign 2 of Critical Role? Answer below and share the video on social media. Check out our sponsors, Dublin City Comics and Dakota Irish. So DublinCityComics.ie and DakotaIrish.com. Discount code for Dakota Irish is right down there, and we will be up on screen. It would have been up on screen as well at the halfway mark as well. But yeah, folks, stay safe. Thank you for checking us out. We are Sorcery Shenanigans. You can find us on Twitter under The Irish Pubcast, on Facebook, The Irish Pubcast, on Instagram, The Irish Pubcast. All of our own individual details are below as well. Thank you,
you latty
people. We want to say thank you as well, because we gave her a shout out a while ago, but her artwork is amazing. Thanks to Kat as well, who's responsible for all of our character art.
Nice one,
All the
Kat.
character art there you see of Lopan, Tiny Fuck, Grey Pipstrel, and Zilzara, Miss Rune. Go check Kat out on her Etsy page. You can also see her as it's IX_CATO on Twitter.
Xcato.
So yeah, folks, this has been Sorcery Shenanigans. Until the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.